They laughed when she stepped onto the concrete yard. Then the laughter stuck in their throats. At Iron Ridge Joint Training Facility, nobody noticed the woman in the torn jacket was already measuring the room, counting exits, cataloging weaknesses. Recruits shoved past her. Jokes cut sharp. Phones came out. The rhythm of mockery echoed like boots on steel. Rhea Calder didn't react. Her stillness felt wrong, too controlled, too calm. Instructors dismissed her with a wave. Peers circled like they smelled blood. She moved to the barracks without a word, shoulders steady, pulse even. Something about her silence unsettled a few people, but not enough to stop the bullying. No one knew the countdown had already started. 18 minutes later, one tear in fabric would flip the entire base upside down. Before we begin, if you're enjoying this story, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this tale travels. Stay with me until the very end, because what happens next will leave you speechless. The first thing that hit Rhea Calder when she stepped off the transport truck was the smell. Diesel fuel mixing with sun-baked asphalt and something sharper, metallic. Iron Ridge Joint Training Facility sprawled across 40 acres of Arizona desert like a scar on the landscape. Chain-link fences topped with razor wire. Concrete buildings squatting low and hostile under a sky so blue it hurt to look at. She hoisted her pack, army surplus, frayed straps, more duct tape than fabric, and started walking toward the assembly yard. Behind her, the truck driver leaned out his window. "Good luck, sweetheart. You're gonna need it." She didn't turn around. The yard was already filling up. 63 recruits, if the roster she'd memorized was accurate. Most were men, mid-20s. Type A personalities who'd spent the last 3 months bragging to everyone back home about getting accepted into the elite Joint Service Combat Leadership Program. A handful of women scattered through the crowd, already forming defensive clusters. Rhea kept her head down and moved toward the designated assembly area, a painted square near the flagpole where dust devils spun lazy circles. "Yo, check it out." The voice came from her left. Male, early 20s, the kind of confidence that came from never being told no. Supply crew lost a truck driver. Laughter rippled through a group of 5 guys wearing matching CrossFit gear. The one who'd spoken, blonde crew cut, shoulders like a linebacker, looked Rhea up and down with theatrical disgust. "Seriously, did you raid a Goodwill on the way here?" More laughter. Phones came out. Rhea felt the weight of a dozen camera lenses. She set her pack down carefully, precisely, in the center of the painted square, stood at a neutral rest position. Hands loose at her sides, eyes forward. The blond guy stepped closer. 6'2", maybe 220. His name tape read, "Hail." "I'm talking to you, Salvation Army." Rhea's gaze flicked to him. 1 second, no expression, then back to middle distance. "Oh shit, she's mute!" One of Hale's crew, a shorter guy with a Boston accent and a tribal tattoo creeping up his neck, slapped Hale's shoulder. "Dude, we got a defective one!" The laughter built. Other recruits were drifting over now, drawn by the spectacle. A tall woman with a high ponytail and Olympic-level posture whispered something to her friend. Both smiled. Rhea didn't move. "Hey!" Hale snapped his fingers in front of her face. "You speak English? Habla español?" Nothing. He turned to his audience, arms spread. "Ladies and gentlemen, Iron Ridge's finest. I feel safer already." The crowd was growing. Maybe 30 people now, forming a loose semicircle. Some looked uncomfortable. Most looked entertained. A few were already posting on social media. Rhea could see the thumb movements, the practiced angles. Then a voice cut through the noise like a drill sergeant's whistle. "Fall in!" The crowd scattered. Rhea stayed exactly where she was, already in position, already at attention. 3 instructors emerged from the administrative building. The one in front was a woman in her 40s, graying hair pulled back so tight it looked painful. Master Sergeant Kovich, according to the briefing packet. Former Marine, 2 combat deployments, a reputation for breaking recruits who thought they were tough. Kovich's eyes swept the yard, landed on Rhea, moved on without interest. "Listen up. You have 30 seconds to get your gear stowed in your assigned racks and get back here in formation. If you're late, you're doing burpees until I get bored. Move!" The yard exploded into chaos. 63 people scrambling for the barracks entrance, shoving, cursing, trying to remember their bunk assignments from the paperwork they'd barely glanced at. Rhea picked up her pack and walked. Not running, not rushing, just walking with purpose. Inside the barracks, the air was 10 degrees hotter. Long rows of metal bunk beds, footlockers, the industrial smell of disinfectant and old sweat. Nameplates on every rack, alphabetical by last name. She found hers. Top bunk, far corner. Below her, Jefferson, T. Rhea swung her pack onto the thin mattress and started unpacking with the same methodical precision she applied to everything. Toiletries in the footlocker, left side. Uniforms hung in exact order of use. Boots aligned at 45 degrees. Around her, people were throwing gear into lockers, cursing when things didn't fit, arguing over drawer space. Seriously? A woman's voice, sharp with annoyance. You're doing a white glove inspection right now? Rhea glanced over. Her bunkmate, T. Jefferson, stood with one hand on her hip, looking up at Rhea's meticulous arrangement like it was personally offensive. She was compact, muscular, dark skin, hair in tight cornrows, Air Force patch on her shoulder. We've got like 15 seconds, Jefferson said. Rhea finished aligning her last boot, climbed down, headed for the door. Jefferson muttered something under her breath. It sounded like fucking weirdo. Outside, the formation was a disaster. People out of line, spacing wrong, still adjusting uniforms. Kovich stood with her arms crossed, face carved from granite. 47 seconds. That's 47 burpees. Begin. The groaning started immediately, but they dropped, all of them, even the ones who'd been mocking Rhea 5 minutes ago. She went down with them, back straight, movements controlled. Up, down, up, down. By rep 15, people were gasping. By 30, 2 recruits had vomited on the asphalt. By 47, Hale's blonde hair was dark with sweat, and his face had gone the color of raw steak. Rhea's breathing was elevated but steady. Not easy, not showboating, just controlled. Kovich watched them finish, waited until the last person staggered upright. Welcome to Iron Ridge. For the next 8 weeks, this facility is your entire world. You will eat, sleep, and breathe tactical leadership. If you're here because your CO recommended you, congratulations. You've earned a shot at something elite. If you're here because you pulled strings or kissed ass, you won't last a week. She started pacing along the front rank. This isn't basic training. We're not teaching you how to shine boots. This is advanced combat leadership, tactical decision-making under pressure, small unit command, inter-service coordination. The washout rate is 62%. Most of you will be gone before week 4. Her eyes landed on Rhea again. This time they stayed. Some of you will be gone before day 4, Hale snickered. Kovich's head snapped toward him. Something funny, recruit? No, Master Sergeant. Then shut your mouth before I find a use for it. Like cleaning latrines with your tongue. Silence. Kovich resumed pacing. Your instructors are Senior Chief Van. She indicated a man built like a refrigerator with a Navy SEAL trident on his chest. And Captain Ortega. A lean Latino man with Army Ranger tabs and the watchful stillness of a sniper. You will address us by rank. You will follow every order without question or hesitation. And you will learn that leadership isn't about being the loudest or the toughest. It's about making the right call when everything's going to hell and people's lives depend on you. She stopped at the center of the formation. Barracks inspection is 0500 tomorrow. Chow is 1800 tonight. Until then, you have orientation briefings, equipment issue, and initial PT assessment. If you need to quit, my office is open 24/7. No judgment, just gone. She glanced at her watch. You have 2 minutes to hydrate and get to the briefing hall. Dismissed. The rest of the day blurred into a gauntlet of presentations, paperwork, and sizing for tactical gear. Rhea moved through it like smoke. There, but not quite solid enough to grab hold of. In the briefing hall, she sat in the back corner, took notes in a small spiral notebook with mechanical precision. Every instructor's name, every acronym, every safety protocol. Hale sat 3 rows ahead with his crew, passing a phone back and forth, muffling laughter. During equipment issue, she was handed the standard loadout: plate carrier, helmet, gloves, eye protection, training rifle. Everything used, everything worn, but functional. She signed for it without comment. Size 7 boots? The supply clerk, a bored-looking corporal, glanced at her feet. We're out. Got some 8s if you want to stuff the toes. I'll wait, Rhea said. First words she'd spoken since arriving. The corporal shrugged. Suit yourself. Might be a week. That's fine. Behind her in line, someone muttered, Of course she's going to be difficult. The PT assessment was last. 3 miles in full kit, timed. Then max pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups. Finally, an obstacle course that looked like it had been designed by someone who hated humanity. The run sorted people fast. The CrossFit crew took off like it was a race, testosterone overriding tactical sense. They'd burn out by mile 2. Rhea settled into a sustainable pace. 7-minute miles. Not impressive, not embarrassing. Middle of the pack. By mile 2, Hale and his crew had faded. Their sprint had cost them. Rhea passed them without changing pace, face blank, breathing rhythmic. Fuck. You! Hale gasped as she went by. She didn't acknowledge him. At mile 3, she crossed the finish line in 23:14. Solid mid-tier time. Senior Chief Van marked it on his clipboard without comment. The bodyweight exercises went the same way. 12 pull-ups. Decent for her size. 48 push-ups. 63 sit-ups. All controlled, all textbook form. Van watched her with the expressionless attention of a man who'd seen 10,000 recruits. You done? Yes, Senior Chief. Hit the showers, chow in 30. The obstacle course was postponed until tomorrow. Too many people still finishing the run, too close to dinner. The mess hall smelled like institutional food everywhere in the world. Overcooked vegetables, mystery meat, industrial dishwasher detergent. Rhea moved through the line, took portions of everything, found an empty spot at the end of a long table. She was 3 bites into something that might have been meatloaf when Jefferson dropped into the seat across from her. So you do talk. Jefferson speared a piece of chicken. I was starting to wonder. Rhea looked at her. Waited. Tamara Jefferson. People call me TJ. Jefferson extended a hand across the table. Rhea shook it. Firm grip, 2 pumps, release. Rhea. Yeah, I saw your name tape. Where are you from, Rhea? Around. Jefferson raised an eyebrow. Around? That's specific. Moved a lot growing up. Military family? Something like that. Jefferson studied her for a moment, chewing thoughtfully. You're not big on conversation, are you? Not particularly. Cool. Jefferson nodded. I respect that. Some people talk just to hear their own voice. She gestured with her fork toward Hale's table, where the volume was already rising. Like those assholes. Rhea took another bite, said nothing. You know they're going to make your life hell, right? Jefferson kept her voice low. Guys like that, they need someone to punch down on. And you, no offense, you're an easy target. I'll manage. Yeah, but maybe you don't have to manage alone. I'm just saying it might help to have, I'm fine. Rhea's tone didn't change, but something in it made Jefferson stop mid-sentence. They ate in silence for a minute. Then Jefferson tried again. Look, I get it. You're here to do a job, keep your head down, graduate, move on. But this place, she glanced around the mess hall. It's not just about the training. Politics matter, alliances matter. Who has your back when the instructors aren't watching? Rhea met her eyes. I appreciate the advice, but you're not taking it. I didn't say that. Jefferson smiled despite herself. You're a weird one, Calder, but okay, offer stands. You need anything? I'm rack 42. Rack 41. I know, I'm right below you, remember? Jefferson stood, grabbed her tray. Don't be a stranger. She left. Rhea finished her meal in silence, cleaned her tray, and headed back to the barracks. The first real test came on day 3. They'd survived 2 days of classroom work, tactical theory, comm protocols, leadership frameworks, and endless PT. Rhea had maintained her position in the middle, competent but unremarkable. A few people had started to forget about her. Hale hadn't. Morning run, 0530. 3 miles again, but this time in fire teams. 4 people per team, assigned randomly. Rhea ended up with Jefferson, a skinny Navy kid named Chen, and an Army reservist named Morris, who looked like he was one bad day from a heart attack. They lined up at the start. 50 yards to their left, Hale's team, all his CrossFit crew, all grinning like wolves. Senior Chief Van stood between the groups with a stopwatch. This is a team event. You finish when your last man crosses the line. If your team time is over 30 minutes, you all fail the evolution. You have 10 seconds to decide who's running point and who's bringing up rear security. Go. Jefferson looked at Rhea. You good with middle? Fine. Chen, you're fast. Take point. Morris, you're rear. I'll run second. Keep pace with Chen. Morris was already sweating. I don't know if I can. You can, Jefferson cut him off. Just stay with Rhea. She'll pace you. Van's whistle shrieked. They ran. Chen shot ahead immediately. Too fast, burning energy. Jefferson matched him, calling back, Ease up, Chen. We got 3 miles. Rhea hung back with Morris, who was already breathing hard. What's your natural pace? She asked. 8? Maybe 8:30 miles. We'll do 8:15. Focus on breathing. In through nose, out through mouth. They settled into rhythm. Ahead, Chen and Jefferson had slowed to something sustainable. To their left, Hale's team was pulling ahead, showing off, burning reserves. Quarter mile in, Rhea heard footsteps closing from behind. She glanced back. 3 recruits from another team, running hard, grinning. One of them, a Marine with a scarred lip, called out as they passed Morris. On your left, Grandpa! They surged past, laughing. Morris stumbled, face flushed with humiliation. I'm sorry, I'm slowing us down. You're fine, Rhea said. Maintain pace. But they'll fade by mile 2. We won't. Mile 1. Hale's team was 50 yards ahead. The Marines who'd passed them were 30 ahead. Chen was starting to flag. Jefferson kept having to call him back from sprinting. Mile 2. Hale's team was walking. Actually walking. Hands on knees, gasping. The Marines were staggering. One of them bent over like he might puke. Rhea and Morris maintained their pace. 8:15 miles. Mechanical. Sustainable. Jefferson dropped back to match them. Chen's cramping. I told him to ease off at the start, but go help him, Rhea said. We're good. Jefferson hesitated, then nodded and surged forward. Mile 3. They passed Hale's team. All 4 of them were walking now, faces red, egos bruised. Hale looked up as Rhea and Morris went by. His expression was pure poison. Fucking bitch, he gasped. Rhea didn't react. Morris did. A small smile, a tiny moment of pride. They crossed the finish line in 27:43. Not the fastest team, but well under the 30-minute cut. Van marked his clipboard. Acceptable. Hit the showers. Behind them, Hale's team stumbled across at 34:16. Van didn't even look at them. Failed. You'll rerun at 1600 today. Again at 2000 if you fail again, until you pass or quit. Hale's face went from red to purple. The showers were a concrete box with 12 heads and 0 privacy. Rhea waited until most people had cleared out, then took the corner stall, back to the wall, water temperature 1 degree above hypothermic. She was rinsing her hair when she heard voices echoing off the tile. Thinks she's hot shit now. Just got lucky. Fucking embarrassing. Losing to her. Hale and crew. Rhea kept her eyes closed, letting the water run. Footsteps. Closer. The water cut off. She opened her eyes. Hale stood at the shower controls, hand on the main valve. His 3 friends formed a loose arc behind him, blocking the exit. We need to talk, Hale said. Rhea reached for her towel. Hale's hand shot out, grabbed it first. I'm talking to you. She straightened, water dripping, no expression. You made me look bad out there, Hale continued, in front of the instructors, in front of everyone. Silence. I don't like being embarrassed. So here's how this is going to work. You're going to dial back the effort. Stop trying so hard. Let the people who actually belong here do their thing without you showing off. Rhea tilted her head slightly. Are you finished? The question seemed to confuse him. What? I asked if you were finished, because I have gear to prep and I'd like to get dressed. Hale's jaw clenched. He stepped closer, 2 feet away now, using his size. You don't get it, do you? You don't belong here. This isn't a charity program. You're dragging down the whole class. Towel, Rhea said, held out her hand. Are you listening to me? Towel. For a second, Hale looked like he might swing. His right hand balled into a fist, shoulders tensing. Then a voice cut through the steam. Yo, Hale! Van's looking for you! One of his crew, the Boston guy, calling from the door. Hale held Rhea's gaze for another 3 seconds, then threw the towel at her feet and walked away, shoulder-checking her hard enough to slam her into the tile wall. They left. Rhea picked up the towel, dried off, got dressed. Her left shoulder was already bruising. She could feel it, a hot ache spreading under the skin. She pressed her thumb into the bruise, tested the pain threshold, cataloged it, then went to prep her gear. That night, after lights out, Jefferson whispered down from the top bunk. You okay? Fine. I heard what happened in the showers. Rhea said nothing. You should report it. That's assault. It's handled. Handled how? It's handled. Jefferson was quiet for a moment, then, You're going to get hurt if you keep poking that bear. Maybe. That doesn't bother you? Rhea stared at the bunk slats above her. Go to sleep, TJ. Yeah, sure. Jefferson rolled over. Your funeral. In the darkness, Rhea's pulse was 62 beats per minute. Steady, calm. She closed her eyes and started counting backwards from 1,000. Day 5 brought weapons qualifications. The range was a mile from main facility, a sprawling complex of berms, target stands, and concrete firing positions. The smell of cordite and gun oil hung thick in the morning air. Captain Ortega ran the range with the quiet authority of someone who'd forgotten more about marksmanship than most people would ever learn. He stood at the front of the assembled recruits, an M4 rifle cradled in his arms like it weighed nothing. Marksmanship is a fundamental combat skill, he said. But this evolution isn't about putting rounds on target. It's about weapons maintenance, speed, and decision-making under pressure. He held up the rifle. You will be timed on disassembly and reassembly. Standard is 90 seconds for complete field strip and rebuild. Anything over 2 minutes is a failure. Groans rippled through the group. After that, you'll qualify at 25, 50, and 100 meters. We'll finish with stress shoots, timed, movement-based scenarios. By the end of today, I'll know who can actually fight and who just looks good in a uniform. He smiled. It wasn't warm. Questions? No one spoke. Weapons are on the tables. You have 3 minutes to familiarize. Begin. The scramble started immediately. Rhea walked to table 7, picked up an M4, checked the chamber, clear, and ran her hands over it. Standard carbine, well used but maintained. Sight zeroed for 50 meters. Trigger pull clean, no creep. Around her, people were already starting their strip downs, racing against invisible clocks. Rhea set the weapon down. Waited. Ortega's whistle. Time begins now. Her hands moved. Charging handle. Upper and lower receiver pins. Bolt carrier group. Firing pin. Cam pin. Bolt. Buffer spring. Stock. 41 seconds. Reassembly. Reverse order. No fumbling. No second guessing. 52 seconds total. She set the weapon down, stood at attention. Ortega appeared at her shoulder, stopwatch in hand. He checked the rifle, function check, chamber, magazine well. 52 seconds, he said. Clean work. Around the range, people were still wrestling with springs and pins. Hale was on his second attempt, cursing under his breath. By the time everyone finished, Rhea's time stood as third fastest in the class. Not first. That belonged to a quiet Army E5 named Kowalski. Not second. Jefferson had clocked in at 57 seconds. But solid. Noticeable. Hale glared at her from across the range. 2 minutes, 40 seconds he'd needed. In front of everyone. The live fire portion started at 0930. 25 meters, paper targets, B-27 silhouettes. 5 rounds, standing unsupported. Rhea loaded her magazine. 5M855 green tip rounds. Seated it. Charged the weapon. Safety off. Slow controlled breath. Front sight post. Center mass. The first shot broke clean. The rifle bucked. Brass ejected. She didn't look at the target. Just reset, exhaled, fired again. 5 shots in 11 seconds. Ortega called ceasefire. Targets rotated forward. Ria's grouping was tight. 4 rounds in a 6-inch circle, center mass. 1 flyer high left, still in the 8 ring. Acceptable, Ortega marked his roster. 50 meters, prone position, bipod support. 10 rounds. The wind was picking up now, flags snapping intermittent patterns. Ria watched them for 30 seconds, reading the shifts. 3 to 5 miles per hour, left to right. Variable. She adjusted her point of aim 1 click right, settled into the prone. Elbows planted, stock in the pocket of her shoulder. Breath control, trigger press. 10 rounds in 38 seconds. All 10 in the 9 ring or better. 7 in the 10 ring. Ortega crouched beside her, spotting scope to his eye. Where'd you learn to shoot? Here and there? Here and there? He stood. That's not helpful, Calder. Family taught me. Your family military? Something like that. He studied her for a moment, then moved on to the next shooter. 100 meters, sitting position, no support, 15 rounds. The wind was worse now, flags dancing, mirage rippling off the hot ground, difficult conditions. Ria took her time, watched the wind, calculated holdover, sent the first round. Impact, 10 ring, 2 inches right of center. She adjusted, fired again. 10 ring, dead center. 13 more shots, 12 in the 10, 1 in the 9. When Ortega checked her target, his expression gave nothing away, but he made a note in his book, circle and underline. The stress shoot started after lunch. The course was simple. Sprint 50 meters to barricade, engage 3 targets at varying distances, transition to secondary position, engage 3 more, sprint to finish, all under time pressure, all while the instructor shouted contradictory commands and set off simulated explosions. Hale went first. Fast run, sloppy shooting, 2 misses out of 6 shots. Time, 38 seconds. Jefferson, 41 seconds, 1 miss. Kowalski, 35 seconds, perfect. Ria's turn. She stepped to the start line, weapon loaded, safety on, waiting. Ortega's whistle. She sprinted, boots pounding dirt. Hit the first barricade low, weapon coming up smooth. Target 1, 20 meters. 2 rounds, both center mass. Target 2, 35 meters. 2 rounds. 1 head, 1 chest. Target 3, 50 meters. 1 round. Headshot. Transition. 3 seconds. Roll to second position. 3 more targets, same procedure. 6 rounds, 6 hits, sprint to finish. Time, 36 seconds. Ortega marked his book. No comment. But when she walked past Hale on the way back to the ready line, she heard him mutter, "Bet she fucked someone to get those scores." She kept walking. The evening briefing was held in the same musty hall they'd used for orientation. All 63 recruits, minus 2 who'd quit on day 4, packed onto metal folding chairs. Master Sergeant Kovich stood at the front, arms crossed, face carved from granite as always. Tomorrow we begin team-based exercises. You'll be assigned to fire teams of 4. These teams will remain constant for the next 3 weeks. You will eat, sleep, train, and suffer together. If one person fails, the whole team fails. She pulled up a slide. The team assignments. Ria scanned the list. Team 7, Calder, Jefferson, Morris, Chen. Could be worse. These teams will compete in everything: land nav, tactical problem solving, close quarters combat, medical scenarios, vehicle operations. Points are cumulative. The top 3 teams at week 8 get honor graduate slots and first pick of follow-on schools. Murmuring through the room, people calculating their odds. Bottom 3 teams get remedial training and a permanent mark on their leadership files. The murmuring stopped. Team assignments are final. No changes unless someone quits or gets injured. Questions? Hale raised his hand. Master Sergeant, what about individual performance? If someone on your team is dragging you down, then you lead them up. That's the whole point. Kovich's voice could have cut steel. Leadership isn't about being surrounded by people who are already good. It's about making people better. If you can't do that, you don't belong here. Hale's jaw worked. He said nothing. Tomorrow, 0500, full kit, meet at the PT field. Dismissed. That night, Team 7 met in the corner of the barracks. Jefferson sat on her footlocker, legs crossed. Chen perched on a bunk, nervous energy radiating off him. Morris stood to the side, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Rhea leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Okay, Jefferson started. We need a plan. These team events are basically going to determine our whole course outcome. We need to figure out strengths, weaknesses, who does what. I'm fast, Chen offered. Not strong, but fast. Morris? Jefferson looked at him. I'm not fast. Morris's voice was quiet. Or strong. I'm good at logistics, planning, details. Okay, that's something. We can use that. Jefferson nodded. I'm decent at everything, not great at anything, jack of all trades type. They all looked at Rhea. What about you? Jefferson asked. What are you good at? Rhea considered the question. Finishing? Finishing? When things need to end, I end them. Jefferson blinked. That's ominous. But okay. So our strategy is Chen runs point, scouts ahead. Morris does planning and logistics. I coordinate and adapt mid-mission. Rhea closes out objectives and problems. Sounds good, Chen said. Morris nodded slowly. Rhea said nothing, which they were learning to interpret as agreement. All right, Jefferson clapped her hands. We're not the strongest team. We're definitely not the fastest. But if we're smart and we work together, we don't have to be last. And honestly, not being last is good enough for me. Chen smiled. Morris looked slightly less miserable. Rhea pushed off the wall. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be long. She went to her bunk, climbed up, lay down in the darkness. Below her, Jefferson whispered, Think we have a shot? At what? At not failing. Rhea stared at the ceiling. Everyone has a shot. Until they don't. That's not reassuring. It's not supposed to be. Jefferson was quiet for a moment. Then, You're a strange one, Calder. So I've been told. But you're growing on me. Like a fungus. Jefferson laughed despite herself. Yeah, like a fungus. Day 6. The first team event. Land navigation. Each team received a map, compass, and GPS with coordinates for 6 checkpoints scattered across 8 miles of desert terrain. Time limit, 4 hours. Every checkpoint had a verification code. Miss 1, fail the evolution. Teams deployed at 15-minute intervals to prevent following. Team 7 went fourth. They gathered at the start point, a surveyor's stake in the middle of nowhere. Morris had the map spread on the hood of a Humvee, already marking waypoints. Checkpoints 1 and 2 are close together, northwest sector, he said, tracing routes with his finger. 3 and 4 are spread out east. 5 is south. 6 is back near base. So we go counterclockwise, Jefferson said. Hit 1 and 2, swing around to 3 and 4, drop south for 5, finish at 6. That's 8.3 miles total, Morris calculated. We need to maintain better than 2 miles per hour to stay under time. Chen looked nervous. That's fast for rough terrain. We'll manage, Rhea said. She took the map from Morris, studied it. This terrain, she tapped a section between checkpoints 3 and 4, is going to slow everyone down. Broken ground, probably loose rock. Most teams will try to go around it. We go through it. Why? Jefferson asked. Saves 12 minutes, and we're lighter than most teams. We can move faster over bad ground. Morris nodded slowly. She's right. The map shows elevation changes, but the spacing suggests it's passable. All right. Jefferson looked at her team. We trust the plan? 3 nods. Then let's move. The first checkpoint was 1.7 miles northwest, at the base of a rocky outcrop. They moved in a tactical column, Chen on point, Jefferson second, Rhea third, Morris pulling rear security with the map. The desert was vast and hostile. Sagebrush, yucca, stones that wanted to roll underfoot. The sun was already brutal, hammering down on their helmets. Chen set a good pace. Fast enough to matter, slow enough to sustain. He called back obstacles, watched for wildlife. They hit checkpoint 1 in 26 minutes. The verification code was written on a posted sign, Yankee 77 Bravo. Morris marked it. 1 down, 3 hours 34 left. Checkpoint 2 was only half a mile away northeast. They covered it in 9 minutes. Code Delta 3, Alpha 9. Ahead of schedule, Jefferson said, checking her watch. Let's not get cocky. The terrain started to shift. More elevation, less vegetation. Harder ground. Checkpoint 3 was 2.3 miles east. They angled across a saddle between 2 low hills using the high ground to maintain bearings. Halfway there, they passed another team, Hale's team, struggling with their map, arguing about coordinates. Hale looked up as Team 7 moved past. His face went dark. Lost? Jefferson called cheerfully. Fuck off, Hale shot back. They kept moving. Checkpoint 3. 47 minutes total elapsed. Still ahead of pace. Code Foxtrot -2-8-Charlie. Then came the hard part. The stretch between 3 and 4 was exactly what Rhea had predicted. Broken ground, loose scree, treacherous footing. A smart team would loop south, add distance but avoid the risk. Team 7 went straight through. Watch your spacing, Rhea called. If someone falls, whole team stops. They moved slow, testing each step. Chen slipped once, caught himself. Morris nearly rolled an ankle but steadied. It took 40 minutes to cover what should have been 20 minutes of distance, but when they emerged on the far side, they'd shaved off the predicted 12 minutes. Checkpoint 4 was right there, waiting. Code Golf 5 Victor 1. 2 left, Jefferson said. We got this. Checkpoint 5 was the longest leg, 3 miles almost due south. Open desert, minimal cover, full sun exposure. They settled into a rhythm, 1 foot in front of the other. Hydration every 15 minutes. Chen started flagging around the 2-mile mark. Rhea moved up, took some of his gear. Keep pace. I can carry my own. I know. Keep pace. He didn't argue. They hit checkpoint 5 at 2 hours 51 minutes. Code Hotel 91 Eco. Oh. 1 left. Checkpoint 6 was 1.8 miles back toward base. They could see the facility in the distance now, heat shimmer dancing above the buildings. Final push, Jefferson said. Let's finish strong. They did. Crossed the finish line at 3 hours 22 minutes. 8th team to complete. Not first, not last. Solid middle. Captain Ortega was waiting with his clipboard. All checkpoints verified? Morris handed over their sheet. Yes, sir. Ortega checked it, nodded. Good work. Hit the showers, get some chow, team debrief at 1600. As they walked away, Rhea glanced back. Hale's team was still out there somewhere. The cutoff time was 4 hours. They stumbled in at 3 hours 57 minutes. Dead last of the teams that finished. 3 teams didn't finish at all. The mess hall that night had a different energy. Teams were starting to gel, hierarchies forming. Team 7 sat together. First time that had happened naturally. Not bad for day 1, Jefferson said around a mouthful of something that claimed to be lasagna. Could have been faster, Chen said. I slowed us down on that last leg. You were fine, Morris said quietly. We all pulled weight. Rhea ate in silence, listening. Across the hall, Hale's table was loud, defensive. They'd barely made the cut and everyone knew it. If we'd had better gear, map was wrong. Fucking bullshit course design. Excuses. Rhea had heard 1,000 variations of them. Jefferson noticed her looking. They're scared. Of what? Failing, looking weak, being average. Jefferson shrugged. Guys like that, their whole identity is wrapped up in being the best. When they're not, they fall apart. Or they get dangerous, Rhea said. That too. That night, after lights out, Rhea lay awake listening to the barracks breathe. 61 people, all pretending to sleep, all running through tomorrow's scenarios in their heads. She thought about Hale, about patterns she'd seen before. Pride plus fear equals violence. It was coming. The only question was when. She closed her eyes and started her countdown. 999, 998, 997. Day 8 brought close quarters combat. The gym smelled like rubber mats and decades of sweat. Senior Chief Van stood in the center, a heavy bag hanging behind him like a threat. CQC is about controlled aggression, he said. You need to be able to put someone down fast without killing them. Most of you will never see combat, but all of you will face resistance, from subordinates, from civilian populations, from partners in allied forces. You need to know how to assert physical dominance when words fail. He gestured to the mats. Today, we're drilling fundamentals. Strikes, takedowns, holds. Tomorrow, we start live sparring. By week 3, you'll be running full contact scenarios. The morning was brutal. Endless repetitions. Jab, cross, hook, sprawl, shoot, take the back. Arm drags, hip throws, rear naked chokes. Rhea moved through it with the same controlled precision she applied to everything. Not flashy, not dominant, just technically sound. Van circled the room, making corrections, adjusting stances. When he got to Rhea, he watched her drill a combination on the heavy bag. 6 strikes, smooth transitions, good power. You've trained before, he said. Not a question. Some. How much? Enough to not embarrass myself. He grunted. Keep your right elbow tighter on the hook. You're telegraphing. Yes, Senior Chief. He moved on. Across the gym, Hale was going hard on the bag. Too hard. Throwing bombs, no technique, trying to prove something. His knuckles were bleeding by lunch. Day 9. Live sparring. The gym had been reconfigured. A single mat in the center, elevated slightly. Bleachers along the walls. Every recruit gathered to watch. Van stood with a clipboard. Matchups are posted. 3-minute rounds. Tap means stop. Ref says stop means stop. You ignore either. You're out of the program. Clear? Clear, Senior Chief? First match. Kowalski versus Mendez. The sparring was what you'd expect. Some people had training, most didn't. Technical fighters controlled range. Aggressive fighters gassed out. Size mattered until it didn't. Jefferson won her match in 90 seconds with a slick armbar. Chen lost his in 40 seconds, getting taken down and mounted immediately. Morse declined to participate, citing a medical waiver. No one challenged it. Rhea's name was called for the 8th match. Calder versus Huang. Huang was Navy, 5'8", stocky, wrestling background. He bounced on his toes as Rhea stepped onto the mat. Van stood between us. Touch gloves. Make it clean. They touched. The whistle blew. Huang shot immediately. Level change. Driving for her legs. Fast. Technical. Rhea sprawled, posted on his head, circled away. Reset. Huang shot again. Same result. He tried a third time. Rhea timed it, caught him in a guillotine, squeezed. 8 seconds later, he tapped. Van raised Rhea's hand. Winner. No cheers. Just quiet recognition. More matches, more outcomes. The pattern was clear. People with training won. People without it learned why training mattered. Then the final match was posted. Rhea saw it before the announcement. Her name. And across from it, Hale. The gym went absolutely silent. Van read it aloud anyway. Final match? Calder versus Hale. Hale stood up slowly, smiled. Not friendly. About time. They walked to the mat. The energy in the room had changed. This wasn't training anymore. This was personal. Van looked at both of them. You know the rules. Keep it clean. Hale nodded. Rhea said nothing. Touch gloves? Hale extended his hand. Rhea reached for it. The whistle blew. Hale lunged before her hand reached his, a cheap shot, trying to catch her off guard. He crashed into her like a freight train, driving her back toward the edge of the mat. His weight, his momentum, his rage, all of it behind the push. Rhea's feet slid. She was going down. But as she fell, her hand caught his collar, and as her back hit the mat, her legs wrapped his waist, and her hips bridged, and suddenly Hale was flying over her head. He hit the mat hard. The impact drove the air from his lungs. Rhea was already moving, transitioning to mount, controlling his arms, posture perfect. Hale bucked, thrashed, tried to bench press her off. She rode it out like she was glued to him. He was gassing, breathing hard, muscles burning from the panic. Ria's face was calm, heart rate barely elevated. "Stop trying to muscle it," she said quietly. "You're just wasting energy." That made him angrier. He exploded again. Big bridge, massive effort. She posted, maintained position, waited for him to tire. 30 seconds left in the round. Hale was done, chest heaving, arms heavy. Ria shifted her weight, isolated his right arm, began working toward an armbar. Hale felt it coming, knew he was caught. Instead of tapping, he did something stupid. He swung his left fist at her face. The punch didn't land. Ria saw it coming, slipped her head, but the intention was clear. Van blew the whistle. "Stop!" Hale froze. Van stormed onto the mat. "What the fuck was that, recruit?" She was cranking my arm. "So you tap. You don't throw punches in a grappling match." Van's voice could have stripped paint. "Get off my mat. Now." Hale scrambled up, face purple with humiliation and rage. Van turned to Ria. "You good?" "Yes, Senior Chief." "You win by DQ. Get some water." The gym was dead silent. Ria stepped off the mat, and as she turned, her shirt, soaked with sweat, stretched from the grappling, caught on Hale's hand as he stood. The fabric tore. Not much, just a small rip along the shoulder seam. But enough. Enough that when the tear spread slightly from the tension, a sliver of skin showed through, and on that skin, dark against pale, the curved edge of something. A tattoo. Just the very edge. Maybe 2 inches visible. Looked like the beginning of a coil. Black ink. Professional work. Most people didn't notice. They were watching Hale storm off, watching Van mark his clipboard. But one person noticed. Captain Ortega, standing on the far side of the gym. He'd been watching the match like everyone else. Now he was staring at Ria's shoulder, at that small tear, at that glimpse of ink. His expression changed, just for a second, a flicker of recognition, or confusion, or maybe shock. Then he turned and walked out of the gym. Ria felt the tear in her shirt, covered it with her hand, pulled the fabric tight. Too late. Jefferson appeared at her elbow. "Nice work out there." "Thanks." "Your shirt's ripped. I noticed. Want to borrow a spare? I've got extras." "I'm fine." Jefferson looked at her for a moment. "You sure?" "I'm sure." But as Ria walked back to the barracks, she could feel eyes on her back. Ortega's eyes. And somewhere deep in her chest, a countdown was starting. She had 18 minutes, maybe less. Then everything would change. Ria didn't go back to the barracks right away. Instead, she took a detour to the equipment shed, a corrugated metal building behind the motor pool where they stored extra gear. The door was unlocked. Inside, rows of shelving held everything from chem lights to carabiners to tarps still in their plastic wrapping. She found what she needed in the back, a sewing kit. Military issue, compact olive drab canvas case with needles, thread, buttons, and a thimble. She sat on a crate near the door where the light was better and threaded the needle. Black thread, close enough to the shirt color that it wouldn't stand out. Her hands were steady. The tear was maybe 3 inches long, following the seam line along her shoulder. She worked methodically, small stitches, pulling the fabric tight. The repair wouldn't win any awards, but it would hold. As she worked, she replayed the last 10 minutes in her head. The match. The tear. Ortega's face. He'd seen something, recognized something. The question was, how much? And more importantly, what would he do about it? She tied off the thread, bit it clean, tucked the needle back into the kit. The repair was invisible unless you knew where to look. She stood, tested the fabric. Solid. Then she heard footsteps outside. Boot leather on gravel, measured pace, single person. The door swung open. Captain Ortega stepped inside, blocking the exit. His expression was neutral, but his posture was tense, weight forward, hands loose at his sides. Calder. "Sir." He glanced at the sewing kit in her hand. "Fixing your uniform?" "Yes, sir." "Mind if I take a look?" It wasn't really a question. Ria set the kit down on the crate, turned to face him. "Is there a problem, sir?" Ortega moved closer. Not threatening, just deliberate. He stopped 3 feet away, studying her face like he was trying to match it to a memory. That tattoo, he said, on your shoulder. I only caught a glimpse, but he paused. Where'd you get it? Long time ago. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have, sir. His jaw tightened. Do you know what that symbol means? Rhea met his eyes, calm. Do you? For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Ortega took a step back. His hand went to his pocket, pulled out his phone. He tapped the screen a few times, turned it toward her. The image showed a tactical patch, black background, a viper coiled around a shattered skull. Below it, text. Shadow Company, Joint Special Operations. This look familiar? He asked. Rhea glanced at the screen, said nothing. Shadow Company was deactivated 4 years ago, Ortega continued. After the Bolivia operation went sideways, everyone involved was either reassigned, retired, or buried. That unit doesn't exist anymore, officially. He pocketed the phone. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Where did you get that tattoo? I earned it, Rhea said quietly. Earned it how? By doing the work. Ortega's expression shifted. Surprise, maybe, or confusion. You're telling me you were Shadow Company? I'm not telling you anything, sir. You're making assumptions. Then correct me. She held his gaze. I can't do that. Can't or won't. Both. He studied her for another few seconds. Then he pulled out a small notepad, scribbled something, tore off the page, handed it to her. A phone number, nothing else. You call this number, he said, and you ask for Mongoose. You tell him Ortega sent you. You tell him what you just told me, and you see what he says. Rhea took the paper. And if I don't? Then we're going to have a conversation with Master Sergeant Kovich and the base commander about unauthorized insignia and stolen valor. Your choice. He turned and walked out, leaving the door open behind him. Rhea stood there for a moment, the paper between her fingers. Then she folded it carefully and tucked it into her pocket. The barracks were quiet when she got back. Most people were at evening chow or the rec room. She climbed to her bunk, lay down, stared at the ceiling. The paper felt like it was burning a hole through her pocket. She didn't need to call the number. She knew what Mongoose would say. She knew how this would play out. But calling meant accelerating the timeline. It meant losing control of when and how things unfolded. Below her, footsteps, then Jefferson's voice. You alive up there? Yeah. You missed chow. Not hungry. Bullshit. You burned 1,000 calories in that match. Jefferson climbed the ladder, poked her head over the edge. I saved you some bread and mystery meat. It's in my locker. Thanks. Jefferson studied her face. You okay? You've been weird since the gym. I'm fine. That's what you always say. Jefferson pulled herself up higher, sitting on the edge of the bunk. Look, I know we're not friends or whatever, but we're on the same team, and teammates don't let each other spiral. I'm not spiraling. You're lying on your bunk at 1800 on a Friday night staring at nothing. That's textbook spiraling. Rhea turned her head to look at Jefferson. What do you want me to say? The truth would be nice? The truth is complicated. Most things are. Jefferson shrugged. Try me anyway. Rhea sat up slowly, swung her legs over the edge. You ever have a past you can't outrun? Every single day. Jefferson's smile was sad. I'm from Detroit. Grew up in the projects. Father in prison, mother on crack. I joined the Air Force to get out. But it follows me. People hear my accent, see my neighborhood on the paperwork. They make assumptions about who I am, what I'm capable of. And I prove them wrong every single day until they can't ignore it anymore. She leaned back against the wall. But it's exhausting, constantly fighting, constantly justifying my existence. Rhea nodded slowly. Yeah. So whatever you're dealing with, whoever you used to be, it doesn't define you now, unless you let it. What if it's not that simple? It never is. Jefferson climbed down. Get some food. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's land nav again, different terrain. We need you sharp. She walked away. Rhea sat there for a while longer. Then she climbed down, retrieved the bread and mystery meat from Jefferson's locker, ate it mechanically. The paper was still in her pocket. She took it out, looked at the number. Then she walked to the payphone near the rec room, one of two on the entire base, relics from before everyone had cell phones. She fed in coins, dialed, 3 rings. Then a voice. Yeah. Mongoose? Pause. Who's asking? Ortega sent me. Longer pause. Background noise. Voices, equipment, the hum of operations. Then, give me a number. I'll call you back in 5. She read off the payphone number. He hung up. She waited. 4 minutes later, the phone rang. She picked up. Yeah. This is a secured line now, Mongoose said. His voice was different, sharper, more focused. Ortega said you've got Shadow Company Inc., that true? Yes. What's your name? Rhea Calder. Silence. Then, holy shit. Viper? She closed her eyes. Yeah. We thought you were dead, Bolivia. The whole team thought... He stopped. Where the hell have you been? Around? Around? Jesus Christ! He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Does Vale know you're at Iron Ridge? He knows. And he let you go through basic training? What the fuck is he thinking? It's complicated. Everything with you two is complicated. Mongoose sighed. Okay, here's the situation. Ortega doesn't know who you are. He just knows the ink. If I confirm it for him, he'll escalate to his chain of command. Questions will be asked. Your cover, or whatever the hell this is, gets blown wide open. I know. So what do you want me to do? Rhea thought about it. The pieces on the board, the moves available. How much can you tell him without compromising operational security? I can confirm the ink is legitimate, that you earned it. I can tell him you're inactive reserve, not unauthorized. Beyond that, he doesn't have clearance. Will that satisfy him? Probably not, but it'll keep him from making this official. Mongoose paused. Why are you really there, Viper? Testing something. Testing what? Leadership development, training protocols, cultural integration. By pretending to be a nobody and getting shit on for 2 months? Something like that. He was quiet for a moment. You know this is insane, right? It's been mentioned. And Vale signed off on this? He designed it. Of course he did. Mongoose sighed again. All right. I'll call Ortega. Give him the minimum. But Viper, this can't hold forever. Eventually someone's going to connect the dots. I know. How much longer are you planning to run this? As long as it takes. Takes for what? To see what breaks. She hung up before he could respond. The next morning, Ortega pulled Rhea aside after PT. They stood near the flagpole, far enough from the other recruits that the conversation was private. I made some calls, he said. Verified your story. And? And you're cleared. The ink is legitimate. You earned it. His eyes were hard. But I don't like mysteries, Calder, and you are one big fucking mystery. I'm just here to train, sir. Bullshit. People like you don't need this course. You've already been through worse. So why are you here? Maybe I'm starting over. Or maybe you're running from something. She didn't answer. Ortega stepped closer. Let me be clear. I don't care who you used to be. I care about who you are now. And right now, you're a recruit in my course. You follow the rules, you do the work, you graduate or wash out like everyone else. Your past doesn't buy you special treatment. Understood? Yes, sir. Good. He started to walk away, then stopped. One more thing. Hale's gunning for you. After yesterday's match, his ego's bruised. He's going to push. Hard. You need to be ready. I'm always ready, sir. Ortega looked at her for a long moment. Yeah, I'm starting to believe that. He left. Rhea stood there, watching the flag snap in the wind. The countdown had shifted. New variables. New timeline. But the outcome was still inevitable. Days 11 through 14 were a blur of team exercises. Land nav in different terrain, wooded hills this time, dense undergrowth, limited visibility. Team 7 finished 9th out of 18 remaining teams. Not great, but respectable. Medical scenarios, mass casualty events, triage decisions, field medicine under pressure. Morris turned out to be exceptional at this. Calm, methodical, good instincts. They finished fourth. Vehicle operations, driving Humvees through obstacle courses, convoy tactics, rollover drills. Chen's small size actually helped here. He could maneuver the vehicles with precision that larger recruits couldn't match. They finished sixth. Cumulative standings after 2 weeks. Team 7 was sitting at 8th place overall, firmly middle tier, exactly where Rhea wanted them. Hale's team had climbed to 2nd place. He'd found his rhythm, channeling his anger into performance. His team was fast, aggressive, technically sound, and he made sure everyone knew it. In the mess hall, he'd started holding court, surrounded by admirers, telling war stories that were mostly bullshit, throwing looks at Rhea's table. She ignored him, but the pressure was building. She could feel it in the air, in the way people moved around them, like watching a storm front approach. On day 15, it broke. The evolution was called tactical problem solving, basically an escape room with military flavor. Each team was locked in a room with a scenario: hostage rescue, bomb defusal, enemy intel recovery. They had to work together, use the tools provided, complete the objective within the time limit. Team 7 got the bomb defusal scenario. They were led into a windowless concrete room. In the center, a metal case with a digital timer counting down from 30 minutes. Around the room, tools, manuals, random equipment. The door locked behind them with a heavy clunk. Timer started. 30 minutes. Jefferson immediately went to the case. Okay, let's see what we're dealing with. Morris grabbed the manuals, started flipping through. Instructions have to be here somewhere. Chen began organizing the tools. Wire cutters, multimeter, flashlight, duct tape. Rhea circled the room slowly, looked at the walls, the ceiling, the floor. Guys, she said, this isn't about the bomb. Jefferson looked up. What? The bomb is a distraction. Look at the timer. It's counting down way too slow. We'd have to be incredibly incompetent to not defuse it in 30 minutes. So what's the real objective? Morris asked. Rhea pointed to a vent in the ceiling. Communication. There's another team in the next room. We're supposed to coordinate with them. How do you know? Because that's how real tactical problems work. It's never about one team doing one thing. It's about multiple units working together. Timer, 27:43. Jefferson boosted Chen up to the vent. He pulled the grate off, looked inside. There's a passage, he called down. Narrow, but I can fit. Go, Rhea said. Find the other team. Establish comms. We'll work on this end. Chen crawled into the vent and disappeared. Jefferson turned to Rhea. You sure about this? No, but sitting here defusing a fake bomb isn't going to win us points. But Morris had found something in the manual, a page with a radio frequency written in the margin. This look important? Rhea took it. Very. Find a radio. They tore through the equipment, found a handheld radio buried in a crate. Rhea tuned it to the frequency. Keyed the mic. This is Team 7. Anyone copy? Static. Then, Team 7, this is Team 3. We read you. What's your scenario? Intel recovery. We've got files that need to be delivered, but our door's locked from the outside. Our door's locked too. Is there a connecting passage? Stand by. Voices in the background. Then, affirmative. Our guy's in the vent system now. Timer, 23:17. 2 minutes later, Chen's voice echoed from the vent. I found them. Team 3 is next door. Can you unlock their door from your side? Rhea called up. Negative, it's electronic, needs a code. She looked at Morris. The bomb case? Any numbers on it? Morris checked. 6-digit display, 847293. Rhea keyed the radio. Team 3, try code 847293 on your door. Pause. Then, holy shit, it worked! The wall between the rooms slid open. Team 3 emerged, 4 recruits Rhea barely knew. They were holding a briefcase. We were supposed to deliver this, their leader said. But we couldn't get out. And we were supposed to defuse a bomb we didn't need to defuse, Jefferson said. This whole thing's a coordination test. Timer, 1954. Rhea pointed to the bomb case. Open it. Morris popped the latches. Inside, not explosives, but a radio transmitter. It's a beacon, Morris said. We're supposed to activate it. With what power source? Jefferson asked. Rhea looked at the briefcase Team 3 was carrying. Open that. Inside, a battery pack and activation instructions. They connected the beacon to the battery. The timer stopped at 17:32. A buzzer sounded. The door unlocked. Van's voice over a loudspeaker. Evolution complete. Both teams exit and report to debrief room. The debrief was short. Kovic stood at the front, arms crossed. Team 7 and Team 3 are the only teams who figured out the coordination element. Everyone else spent 30 minutes trying to solve individual problems that didn't exist. Team 7 gets top marks for initiative and lateral thinking. Team 3 gets credit for adaptability. She looked directly at Rhea, who identified the real objective. Jefferson started to answer, but Rhea cut her off. Team effort, Master Sergeant. Kovic's eyes narrowed. Bullshit. Someone led that decision. Who? Silence. Then Morris spoke up. Calder identified the coordination requirement. Jefferson and I executed. Chen did the physical recon. Kovic nodded slowly. Interesting. She dismissed them. As they left, Rhea felt eyes on her back. Not Ortega this time. Hale. He was standing near the door with his team. They'd failed the evolution, spent the whole 30 minutes trying to defuse a bomb that didn't need defusing. His expression was pure murder. That night, Team 7 celebrated with contraband candy bars Jefferson had smuggled from the commissary. They sat in a circle on the barracks floor, passing around chocolate and hard candy. We moved up to 5th place, Morris said, checking the posted standings. 3 more evolutions like that, and we might crack top 3. Don't jinx it, Jefferson said. We've still got 3 weeks left. Chen was practically vibrating with excitement. Did you see Hale's face? He was so pissed. Keep your voice down, Rhea said quietly. Too late. Footsteps approached. Hale and 2 of his crew. Well, well, Hale said. The heroes of the day. Jefferson stood up slowly. We're just trying to celebrate, Hale. Take it somewhere else. I'm not talking to you. Hale's eyes were locked on Rhea. I'm talking to her. Rhea stayed seated, calm. You think you're smart, Hale continued, figuring out the puzzle, making the rest of us look stupid. You did that yourself, Jefferson said. Shut up. Hale didn't even look at her. I'm talking to the ghost. The ghost? Morris frowned. Yeah, haven't you noticed? She barely talks, barely reacts, just floats through everything like she's above it all. Hale crouched down, getting eye level with Rhea. What are you hiding, Calder? Rhea met his gaze. Nothing you need to worry about. See, I don't believe that. I think you're playing games. I think you're sandbagging, acting weak so people underestimate you. Or maybe I'm just doing my job. Your job is to fail, to wash out, to go back to whatever hole you crawled out of. He smiled. Ugly. And I'm going to make sure that happens. Jefferson stepped between them. All right, that's enough. Back off, Hale. Or what? Or I report you for harassment and you get bounced from the program. Hale stood up. You think the instructors care? You think they'll take your word over mine? He gestured to his chest where his name tape sat above a rack of prior service ribbons. I've got deployment time, commendations, a record. What do you have? Excuses and diversity quotas? Jefferson's hands balled into fists. Rhea stood up smoothly, put a hand on Jefferson's shoulder. Let it go. Listen to your handler, Hale said. Stay out of my way, and maybe you'll graduate. Keep pushing, and I'll bury you. He walked away. The barracks was dead silent. Jefferson was shaking. I should have punched him. And then you'd be out of the program, Rhea said, which is exactly what he wants. So what? We just take it? For now. For now? Jefferson turned on her. How much longer are you going to let people treat you like shit? When do you fight back? Rhea looked at her, really looked at her. When it matters. This doesn't matter? Not yet. Jefferson shook her head, frustrated. I don't get you, Calder. I really don't. She walked away. Chen and Morris scattered too, leaving Rhea alone. She sat back down on her footlocker. The countdown was accelerating. She could feel it now, the pressure, the tension, the inevitable collision. Hale wasn't going to back off. His pride wouldn't let him. And when he pushed again, when he pushed too hard, the whole thing would crack open. The only question was whether she could control the explosion. Day 17 brought combatives training again. This time, scenario-based fighting, one person defending against multiple attackers. Stress inoculation, tactical thinking, survival mindset. Van demonstrated with 2 volunteers, showed how to create angles, use movement, isolate threats. "You're not trying to win," he said. "You're trying to survive long enough for backup to arrive or to escape. That means constant motion, aggressive defense, and targeting weak points." He pointed to Rhea. "Calder, you're up first." She stepped onto the mat. Van gestured to 3 recruits. "You 3. Moderate aggression. Goal is to pin her to the ground. Go." They came at her from different angles. Standard tactics. Rhea moved. Not fast, not flashy, just efficient. She created angles, made them get in each other's way. When one grabbed her arm, she used his momentum to throw him into another. When the third tried to tackle her from behind, she dropped her weight, sprawled, slipped out. 40 seconds later, all 3 were on the ground, tangled up, frustrated. Van stopped the drill. Good spatial awareness, again. Different attackers. This time it was Hale and 2 others. Rhea saw the look in his eyes. This wasn't going to be moderate. Van blew the whistle. Hale came in hard. No hesitation, no holding back. Full aggression. Rhea read it, slipped his initial rush, caught him in a headlock as he passed. He roared, drove backward, slammed her into the padded wall. The impact rattled her teeth. She held on. The other 2 attackers grabbed her arms, trying to pry her off. She had to let go. Reset. All 3 circling her now. Hale was breathing hard, face red. "Come on, Ghost, fight back." They rushed together. This time Rhea went low, dropped under their arms, swept Hale's legs. He went down hard. One of the others grabbed her from behind, bear hug, lifting her off her feet. She drove her heel into his instep, head butted backward, broke free. The third attacker lunged. Rhea sidestepped, redirected him into the wall. Then Hale was up, coming again, and this time he wasn't playing. He charged like a linebacker, full speed, targeting her center mass. Rhea timed it. At the last second, she dropped, rolled, came up behind him. His momentum carried him past. He hit the wall, hard. Van blew the whistle. "Time! That's enough!" Hale spun around, ignoring the whistle. "We're not done." "Yes, you are," Van said. "Stand down, recruit. She's just running away." "I said stand down." Hale's chest was heaving. His eyes were wild. For a second, it looked like he might swing at Van. Then Ortega appeared at the edge of the mat, just standing there, watching. Hale saw him. The fight drained out of his posture. He stepped back. "Yes, Senior Chief?" Van turned to Rhea. "You good?" "Yes, Senior Chief." "Get some water." As she stepped off the mat, she felt it. Her shirt, stretched and stressed from the grappling, starting to tear along the same shoulder seam she'd repaired. She clamped her hand over it, held the fabric tight. But Hale saw the movement, saw her hand go to her shoulder. His eyes narrowed. The shower incident happened that night. Rhea waited until 2200 hours, late enough that most people were in bed, early enough that she wouldn't miss lights out. She grabbed her shower kit and a towel, headed for the bathroom. The space was empty. She checked all the stalls. Clear. She hung her towel on a hook, set her kit on the bench, started the water. The temperature was scalding. She adjusted it down, let it run, started to undress. Then she heard the door open. Footsteps. Multiple people. She grabbed her towel, wrapped it around herself. Hale walked in, flanked by 3 of his crew. "Private space," Rhea said evenly. "You need to leave." "We're not here to shower." Hale stopped 10 feet away. "We're here to talk." "There's nothing to talk about." "I disagree." He crossed his arms. "See, I've been watching you, trying to figure out what your deal is, and I finally put it together." Rhea said nothing. "You're faking it," Hale continued. "The whole quiet, humble, middle-of-the-pack thing. It's an act. You're way better than you're showing, which means you're here for a reason, and I want to know what it is." "You're paranoid." "Am I? Then why do you keep covering your shoulder? What are you hiding under that shirt? Her hand involuntarily went to the seam. Hale smiled. Yeah, that's what I thought. He stepped closer. Rhea backed up, hit the shower wall. Show us, Hale said. No, that wasn't a request. He nodded to his crew. Hold her. They moved in. Rhea's options narrowed. She could fight, probably win, but that would escalate everything. Or she could let this play out, control the reveal. She chose option 2. Don't touch me, she said. I'll show you, but you back off, now. Hale raised a hand. His crew stopped. Rhea lowered the towel slightly, turned her back to them, pulled her shirt collar down to expose her right shoulder blade. The tattoo was there. Full view. No hiding it now. Black viper coiled around a shattered skull. Professional work, military precision. The room went dead silent. One of Hale's crew, a Marine, stepped closer. Holy shit. That's Shadow Company. Shadow what? Hale asked. Shadow Company, Tier 1 unit, Joint Special Operations. They operated in... The Marine stopped. Looked at Rhea with new eyes. Who the fuck are you? Rhea pulled her shirt back up, turned around. Someone you don't want to mess with. Hale's expression had changed, confusion mixed with something else. Respect? Fear? You're Spec Ops? He asked. Was. And you're here why? That's classified. Bullshit. Believe what you want. Rhea picked up her shower kit. But if you're smart, you'll leave this alone. She walked past them. They let her go. At the door, she stopped, looked back. Oh, and Hale, you tell anyone about this and I'll make sure you never pass another leadership course for the rest of your career. Clear? He nodded slowly. She left. But the damage was done. By morning, rumors were spreading. Quiet whispers. Knowing looks. Someone on Hale's crew had talked. During breakfast, Rhea felt the eyes on her, people staring, then looking away when she met their gaze. Jefferson slid into the seat across from her. What the hell happened last night? Nothing. Don't give me that. People are saying you've got Spec Ops Inc., that you're some kind of operator running an undercover mission. People say a lot of things. Is it true? Rhea looked at her. Does it matter? Jefferson leaned back, studying her. Yeah, it does. Because if it's true, that means you've been lying to all of us. To me. I never lied. You never told the truth either. Rhea set down her fork. TJ, my past doesn't change who I am now. I'm still on your team. I'm still here to finish this course. But why? That's what I don't get. If you're already elite, why go through this? Because sometimes you need to remember what it's like to be new, to struggle, to be underestimated. Jefferson was quiet for a moment. Then, that's either really wise or really fucked up. Probably both. They sat in silence for a minute. Then Jefferson spoke again. People are going to treat you different now. You know that, right? I know. Is that what you wanted? Rhea thought about it. No, but it's what I needed. Before Jefferson could respond, Kovich's voice boomed across the mess hall. Formation in 10 minutes. Full kit. Move. Everyone scrambled. The formation was different. Instead of the usual PT field, they were assembled near the vehicle bay. 3 Humvees idling, gear staged on tables. Kovich stood at the front with Ortega and Van. Listen up, she called. This week's capstone evolution is a 48-hour field exercise. You'll be broken into teams, given objectives, dropped in the wilderness. No support. No extraction until you complete your mission or time runs out. Murmurs through the ranks. This tests everything. Land nav, teamwork, resource management, tactical problem solving, and mental fortitude. If you can't handle 2 days of discomfort and uncertainty, you won't survive real leadership positions. She pulled up a roster. Team assignments are adjusted based on recent performance. Top teams get harder objectives. Bottom teams get easier ones, but fewer points for completion. The assignments flashed on a screen. Team 7. Advanced objective. Requires coordination with 2 other teams. Rhea scanned the list. Her team would be working with Team 3, the group from the coordination evolution, and Team 2, Hale's team, of course. They loaded into the Humvees 30 minutes later. Each team got a sealed envelope with their specific mission brief. They weren't allowed to open it until they were dropped at their start point. The drive took 2 hours, deep into the mountains, far from any roads or civilization. They were dropped at a clearing. 3 teams, 12 people total. Kovic handed Ria the envelope. You've got 48 hours starting now. Radio check-ins every 12 hours. Medevac is available, but means automatic failure. Good luck. The Humvees drove away, leaving them in silence. Ria opened the envelope. Inside, a map, a compass, and a mission brief. Objective: locate 3 supply caches hidden in a 20-mile radius. Each cache contains part of a 3-piece code. Combine the codes to unlock the final objective coordinates. Reach final objective within 48 hours. Additional: all 3 teams must arrive at final objective simultaneously. Early or late arrival results in failure for all teams. She looked at Hale. He was reading his copy. Their eyes met. This was going to be a long 2 days. The forest pressed in from all sides. Dense pine, underbrush thick enough to slow movement, terrain that rose and fell in unpredictable ridges. The air smelled like sap and decaying leaves. 12 people stood in a loose circle, 3 teams forced into an uneasy alliance. Hale broke the silence first. All right, we need a plan. 3 caches, 20-mile radius, 48 hours. That's a lot of ground to cover. We split up, said Garcia, leader of Team 3. He was Army, prior infantry, built like a fire hydrant. Each team takes a sector, finds their cache, meets at a rally point to combine codes. And if one team gets lost, Jefferson asked, or injured, we all fail. So don't get lost. Ria was studying the map. The terrain was brutal. Elevation changes of 2,000 feet, no trails, heavy vegetation. 3 caches marked with grid coordinates, but no indication of what they'd find there or how difficult the retrieval would be. Classic military problem: limited information, high stakes, forced cooperation with people you didn't trust. She looked up. We stay together. Hale snorted. That's inefficient. We'll never cover 20 miles in 48 hours as one big group. We don't need to cover 20 miles. We need to cover the most efficient route between 3 points. Ria traced a finger on the map. Cache 1 is 4 miles northeast. Cache 2 is 6 miles northwest from there. Cache 3 is 5 miles south. If we move smart, it's 15 miles total. Add in terrain difficulty, call it 20 hours of movement. That leaves us 28 hours of buffer for problems. Morris was already running calculations on a notepad. She's right. The triangle route is shorter than splitting up and reconsolidating. Hale's jaw clenched. And who put you in charge of navigation? Nobody, Ria said. But the math doesn't lie. Garcia studied the map. Her route makes sense. We move together, we maintain communication, we don't lose anybody. Fine. Hale's tone made it clear it wasn't fine. But I'm taking point. My team has the most land nav experience. Actually, Morris said quietly, our team scored higher on the last 2 land nav courses. Hale's face flushed. Are you serious right now? Just stating facts. Morris, stop, Jefferson whispered. But Ria put a hand on Jefferson's arm. Let it play out. Hale stepped toward Morris. You got something to say to me, calculator? Morris stood his ground, voice steady. I'm saying that navigation should be handled by whoever's best at it. Pride doesn't find caches. For a moment, Hale looked like he might throw a punch. Then Ria stepped between them. Hale takes point. Morris handles navigation and maps. Chen scouts ahead. Jefferson and Garcia coordinate teams. I'll pull rear security. Everyone stared at her. Problem solved, she said. Now pack your gear. We move in 5. Hale opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. Something in Ria's tone, calm, final, absolute, made further argument seem pointless. They packed. The first 4 miles were harder than the map suggested. The terrain rose sharply, forcing them to scramble over deadfall and loose rock. Elevation gain was relentless, 1,200 feet in 3 miles. Hale set a punishing pace, trying to break people. His team kept up easily. Team 3 struggled. Team 7 adapted. Chen moved ahead, finding easier routes, calling back obstacles. Morris navigated, constantly checking their bearing against landmarks. Jefferson rotated through the formation, helping people with gear, maintaining morale. Rhea stayed at the back, watching. She saw the group dynamics crystallizing. Hale's team was cohesive but arrogant. Garcia's team was competent but lacked creativity. Her own team was scrappy, adaptive, learning to trust each other. But the real test would come when things went wrong. They always did. Cache 1 was supposed to be at a specific grid coordinate near a rock formation. They reached the location after 3 hours of hard movement. Nothing there. Check the coordinates, Hale demanded. Morris verified. We're at the right spot, within 10 meters. Then where's the cache? Rhea was already searching. The rock formation was maybe 20 feet tall, weathered granite with cracks and crevices. She circled it slowly, looking for disturbances. There, a gap between two boulders, partially hidden by moss. She reached in, her hand closed around something metal, a small waterproof case. She pulled it out. Found it. Everyone gathered as she opened it. Inside, a laminated card with a 6-digit number, 472819. Also in the case, a note. Only one code per team may be carried. Choose wisely. Hale frowned. What does that mean? It means, Rhea said slowly, that we can't all have copies. Only one person carries the code. That's bullshit. What if that person gets hurt? Then we fail. Garcia crossed his arms. Classic force dependency scenario. Makes us actually trust each other. Wow. Or sets us up to sabotage each other, Hale muttered. They stood in tense silence. Finally, Rhea said, Morris carries it. Why him? Hale demanded. Because he's the least likely to lose it, the least likely to get injured in rough terrain, and the most likely to remember it even if the card gets destroyed. Rhea met Hale's eyes. Unless you have a better suggestion. Hale glared but said nothing. Morris took the card, tucked it carefully into a waterproof pocket. They moved out. The route to Cache 2 took them down a steep ravine and up the other side. The vegetation got thicker. They had to hack through places, using knives to clear vines and branches. Progress slowed. 6 hours into the movement, one of Hale's guys, the Boston accent, name was Donnelly, stepped wrong and twisted his ankle. He went down hard, cursing. Hale turned back. Can you walk? Yeah, I think so. Donnelly tried to stand, winced. Fuck, no, something's wrong. Garcia knelt, examined the ankle. Probably a sprain, could be worse, we need to wrap it. Jefferson pulled out the med kit. They taped Donnelly's ankle tight, gave him ibuprofen. He stood with help, took a few test steps. I can move, just slower. Hale looked at Rhea. This is going to slow us down. So we adapt, Rhea said. Chen, scout ahead for the easiest terrain. We modify the route to minimize elevation changes. That'll add distance, Hale said, but not time. Donnelly can handle flat terrain faster than steep hills. Morris was already recalculating. If we swing west for another mile, we can follow a ridgeline. Minimal elevation change adds 30 minutes, but we'll make it back and reduce difficulty. Garcia nodded. Makes sense. Hale looked like he wanted to argue but didn't have grounds. Fine. But if we miss the timeline because of this, we won't, Rhea said. They adjusted course. The ridgeline route worked. Donnelly kept pace, limping but functional. They reached Cache 2 as the sun was setting, 11 hours into the exercise. This cache was hidden in a hollowed-out tree stump. Chen found it. Inside, another code card, 935162. And another note. Second code must be carried by different team. Of course, Hale muttered. They decided Garcia's team would carry this one. One of his people, a woman named Torres, took the card. 2 down, 1 to go. But they'd burned daylight. The forest was getting dark. We need to make camp, Garcia said. Moving in the dark is asking for injuries. We can use night vision, Hale argued. Keep moving. We don't have night vision, Jefferson pointed out. This is a training exercise, not a deployment. We've got flashlights and moonlight. That's it. Rhea looked at the map. Cache 3 was still 5 miles south. Rough terrain, possibly the worst section of the route. We camp, she said. Move at first light. We've got time. Hale's jaw worked. But even he couldn't argue the logic. They found a defensible clearing, set up a perimeter, broke into watch rotations. No fires allowed. That was in the rules. They ate MREs cold, rolled out sleeping pads, tried to settle. Rhea took first watch with Garcia. They sat on opposite sides of the clearing, backs to trees, scanning the darkness. After 30 minutes of silence, Garcia spoke quietly. "You really Shadow Company?" Rhea glanced at him. "Rumors travel fast." "Donnelly told me. Said you've got the ink." "And?" "And I'm wondering why someone with that background is going through basic leadership training. Maybe I need the refresher." Garcia smiled. "Bullshit. But okay, keep your secrets." He paused. "For what it's worth, I don't care who you used to be. You've been solid this whole exercise. That's enough for me." "Thanks." Hale, though, he cares. His whole identity is wrapped up in being the alpha. Having you here, better than him at half the things he prides himself on, it's eating him alive. "I noticed. Just watch your back. Guys like that, when they feel threatened, they do stupid things." Rhea nodded slowly. "I'm counting on it." Garcia looked at her sharply. "What does that mean?" "It means everyone breaks eventually. The question is what you learn when they do." He didn't respond to that. The watch passed in silence. They moved out at dawn, 0547, first light filtering through the canopy. The terrain to Cache 3 was exactly as brutal as predicted. Dense undergrowth, steep descents, a creek crossing that soaked everyone to the waist. Donnelly was struggling. The ankle had stiffened overnight. He needed help over obstacles, slowing the whole group. By hour 14, they were behind schedule. Hale was getting agitated. "We need to move faster." "We're moving as fast as we can," Jefferson shot back. "Bullshit. We're babysitting." He looked at Donnelly. "You need to push through." "I am pushing," Donnelly said through gritted teeth. "Not hard enough." Garcia stepped between them. "Back off, Hale. He's injured. We adapt." "I'm tired of adapting. I'm tired of going slow. I'm tired of—" Hale stopped himself, took a breath. "We're running out of time." Morris checked his watch. "We have 22 hours left. Cache 3 is 2 miles away. Even at reduced pace, we'll get there with 18 hours to spare for the final objective. And if there's another complication, then we deal with it." Hale shook his head. "This is exactly why splitting up would have been better. We'd have the caches by now. Or we'd have one team lost and everyone failing," Rhea said quietly. Hale spun on her. "You keep acting like you've got all the answers, like you're better than everyone else." "I never said that." "You don't have to. It's in every decision you make, every call you override." He stepped closer. "Who the fuck do you think you are?" The forest went quiet. Rhea met his eyes. Calm. "Someone trying to finish the mission." "No. You're someone playing games, testing us, judging us." His voice rose. "I know what you are. Shadow Company, Spec Ops. You're here to evaluate the program, to see if we're good enough." "Is that what you think?" "It's what I know. And I'm done playing your games." He turned to his team. "We're splitting off, finding Cache 3 ourselves. You all can move at whatever pace you want." Garcia moved to intercept. "That violates the mission parameters, all teams together." "Fuck the parameters. I'm getting this done." Donnelly looked conflicted. "Hale, man, I don't think—" "You stay with them if you want. The rest of you. With me. Now." Two of Hale's team members hesitated, then followed him. Donnelly stayed behind. "I'm sorry, he's just—" "It's fine," Garcia said. "Let him go. He'll figure it out." They watched Hale and his two teammates disappear into the underbrush. Jefferson turned to Rhea. "What do we do?" Rhea was quiet for a moment, running scenarios, calculating outcomes. "We continue to Cache 3. Stick to the plan. And when Hale fails because he's undermanned, then he learned something." They moved out. Cache 3 was hidden at the base of a waterfall, a 20-foot drop into a pool surrounded by slick rocks. Getting to it required rappelling down with improvised rope systems. Dangerous. Technical. They'd been working the problem for 30 minutes when Hale emerged from the tree line. Just Hale. Alone. His uniform was torn, his face was scratched. He looked exhausted. "Where's your team?" Garcia asked. Hale didn't answer immediately. He just stared at the waterfall, at the rope system they'd rigged. Finally, Richards twisted his other ankle. Kowalski got separated. I came ahead to... He trailed off. To what? Jefferson's tone was hard. To finish the mission. By yourself? If I have to. Rhea finished securing the rope. Chen, you're lightest. You go down, retrieve the cache, we pull you back up. Chen nodded, nervous but willing. Hale moved forward. I'll do it. You're exhausted, Rhea said. I'm fine. You're a liability. That stopped him. What did you say? Rhea turned to face him fully. You're tired, you're emotional, your judgment is compromised. You're not going down there. Hale's hands balled into fists. You don't give me orders. Someone needs to. The clearing went dead silent. Hale stepped closer, chest to chest with Rhea. I am so fucking sick of you. Your calm, your control, your superiority complex. Then quit, Rhea said quietly. Walk away. Radio for extraction. Go home. I'm not a quitter. Then stop acting like a child and let us finish this. Hale shoved her. Not hard, just enough to make a point. Rhea didn't budge. He shoved again. Harder this time. She took a small step back, reset her stance. Stop, Garcia warned. Hale ignored him. Fight back, come on. Show everyone what Shadow Company taught you. Show us how elite you are. Rhea's voice stayed level. This isn't the time. I think it's exactly the time. He shoved a third time, both hands, real force. Rhea caught his wrists, held them. For 3 seconds, they stood frozen. Then Hale tried to break free. Rhea's grip didn't budge. He tried again, yanked, twisted. Nothing. His eyes widened. He was using full strength and couldn't move his own arms. Let go, he said. Calm down first. I said let go! He tried to knee her. Rhea sidestepped, released one wrist, trapped his arm, and in one fluid motion put him face down on the ground. Textbook takedown. Zero wasted movement. She had one knee on his back, his arm twisted in a control hold. The entire clearing stared in shock. We done? Rhea asked quietly. Hale was breathing hard, humiliated, furious. Get off me! Are we done? Silence. Then, yes. She released him, stood up, stepped back. Hale rolled to his knees, then to his feet. His face was crimson. He looked around at everyone watching, at the judgment in their eyes. Then he turned and walked into the forest. Nobody stopped him. Chen rappelled down to the waterfall base, retrieved the cache. They pulled him back up. Third code, 186437. 3 codes, 3 teams. Except now they only had 2 teams, and they still needed to reach the final objective together. What do we do about Hale? Jefferson asked. Nothing, Rhea said. He'll either come back or he won't. And if he doesn't? Then we've learned what we needed to learn. Morris combined the 3 codes into a single 12-digit sequence, 472819-93516-2-186437. According to the instructions, this unlocked the final coordinates. He pulled out a small GPS device that had been in cache 3, entered the code. New coordinates appeared on the screen. Final objective is 8 miles east, Morris said. We have 14 hours to get there. That's doable, Garcia said, even with Donnelly's pace. They packed up. As they started moving, Rhea heard something, movement in the underbrush. Behind them. She turned. Hale was following. 50 meters back, not rejoining the group. Just following. She met his eyes across the distance. He didn't look away. She nodded once, small gesture. He nodded back. They moved out. The 8 miles took them through the night. They walked by flashlight and moonlight, slow and careful. Donnelly's ankle was failing. They took turns supporting him, half carrying him over rough sections. Hale maintained his distance, sometimes visible, sometimes not. A shadow at the edge of their lights. Around 0300, Torres. The woman carrying the second code slipped on wet leaves. She went down hard. The impact knocked the breath from her lungs. When she stood, her cargo pocket was torn. Empty. The code card, she gasped. It fell. Everyone scrambled, searching the ground with flashlights. The forest floor was covered in leaves. The card was small, waterproof. It could be anywhere. 10 minutes of searching. Nothing. Morris, Garcia said urgently, you remember the code? Second one was 935162, I think. You think? I'm 90% sure. 90% isn't good enough. Panic was setting in. Then Hale's voice cut through the darkness. Found it. Everyone turned. He stood at the edge of their light, holding the laminated card. He walked forward, handed it to Torres. You dropped this. She took it, stunned. Thank you. He nodded, looked at Rhea. She looked back. Something passed between them. Acknowledgement, maybe respect. Hale didn't rejoin the group. He stepped back into the shadows, but he stayed with them. Mant. They reached the final objective at 0723, 37 minutes before the 48-hour deadline. It was a clearing with a small shelter. Inside, a radio, a flag, and instructions. Raise the flag. Radio for extraction. Mission complete. Garcia raised the flag. Morris made the radio call. Command, this is Field Exercise Team 732. Objective complete. Requesting extraction. Kovich's voice crackled back. Confirmed. Extraction inbound. ETA 30 minutes. They collapsed. Exhausted. Filthy. But they'd made it. All of them. Jefferson looked at Rhea. We did it. Yeah. I didn't think... She stopped. I wasn't sure we would. I was, Rhea said quietly. Across the clearing, Hale sat with his back to a tree, alone. Rhea walked over. She stood there for a moment, then sat down beside him. Neither spoke for a long time. Finally, Hale said, I fucked up. Yeah. You could have destroyed me back there. Humiliated me in front of everyone. That wasn't the point. What was the point? Rhea thought about it. Seeing if you'd break or bend. And? You bent, eventually. He nodded slowly. I've been struggling with this course, with myself. He looked at her. You scare the shit out of me. You know that? Why? Because you're everything I'm supposed to be and I'm not. Calm under pressure. Technically perfect. Never rattled. He shook his head. And I can't figure out if I hate you for it or want to learn from you. Both, Rhea said. Usually both. He almost smiled. The sound of helicopter rotors echoed in the distance. Hale stood, offered Rhea his hand. She took it. Let him pull her up. They walked back to the group together. The extraction birds landed. 2 Blackhawks, rotors beating the air into submission. Everyone loaded up, strapped in. As they lifted off, Rhea looked out the open door. The forest fell away below them, vast, unforgiving, beautiful. She'd pushed them to their limits, watched them break, watched some of them rebuild. Across the cabin, Hale was talking to Donnelly, apologizing from the look of it. Jefferson caught Rhea's eye, smiled. Morris was already asleep. Chen stared out the window, probably processing everything. They'd functioned as a team, barely, imperfectly. But they'd functioned, and that was the whole point. The helicopter banked toward base. Rhea felt her shoulder ache where the fabric had torn during the grappling match days ago. The tattoo underneath pulsed with remembered history. She'd kept it hidden for 2 weeks, controlled the reveal, used the mystery. But now people knew. And everything was about to change. The base appeared on the horizon. 15 minutes later, they touched down. As the rotor spun down, Kovich was waiting, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Debrief in 1 hour, she called as they disembarked. Showers, chow, then conference room, all teams. Everyone scattered. Rhea headed for the barracks. In the shower, she let the hot water run over her shoulders, washed away 2 days of dirt and sweat. When she touched the tattoo, the skin was sensitive. Not from injury, from exposure. The secret was out. Now came the consequences. The conference room was packed. All 3 teams, all the instructors, Even some brass she didn't recognize, higher-ups from the command structure. Kovic stood at the front. Congratulations! You completed the field exercise. All objectives met. All personnel accounted for. Scattered applause. However, Kovic continued, and the room went quiet. We had some significant leadership failures, insubordination, unauthorized separation from teams, physical altercations. She looked directly at Hale. Hale, front and center. He stood, walked to the front, face neutral. You disobeyed mission parameters, endangered your team, created unnecessary risk. Kovic's voice was ice. Explain yourself. Hale stood at attention. No excuse, Master Sergeant. I let pride override judgment. It was a failure of leadership. Agreed. Which is why you're being recommended for remedial leadership training and a permanent note in your file. His jaw clenched. Yes, Master Sergeant. However, Kovic's expression shifted slightly. You also demonstrated resilience. You corrected your behavior. You supported the team when it mattered. That counts for something. Hale blinked, surprised. You're not out of the program, but you're on notice. One more incident, you're gone. Clear? Clear, Master Sergeant. Sit down. He did. Kovic scanned the room. Calder, front and center. Rhea stood, walked forward. The room was dead silent. Kovic studied her for a long moment. There's been some talk, rumors about your background, your qualifications. Yes, Master Sergeant. Are these rumors accurate? Rhea met her eyes. That depends on the rumors. Cut the bullshit, Calder. Are you former Special Operations? The room held its breath. Rhea's decision tree collapsed to a single point. Truth or deflection, control or chaos. She chose truth. Yes, Master Sergeant. Gasps rippled through the room. Kovic's expression didn't change. And you're here because? Because I was asked to evaluate training protocols and cultural dynamics from the inside. By who? That's classified, Master Sergeant. For the first time, Kovic smiled. Small, tight. Of course it is. She turned to the room. Listen up. I don't care who Calder used to be. I don't care what unit she came from or what operation she ran. Right now she's a recruit, just like you. She follows the same rules, meets the same standards, faces the same consequences. She looked back at Rhea. But going forward, no more secrets. You want to be here, you be here honestly. Clear? Clear, Master Sergeant. Good. Sit down. Rhea returned to her seat. The debriefing continued. Performance reviews, lessons learned, team standings updated. Team 7 had moved up to 3rd place overall. Team 2, Hale's team, had dropped to 4th. When it ended, people filed out slowly. Rhea stayed behind. Ortega approached. That was quite a reveal. Had to happen eventually. You handled it well. He paused. For what it's worth, I think what you're doing, testing the system from inside, it's valuable. We need people willing to do that. Thanks. But Hale was right about one thing. You do have a superiority complex. Rhea raised an eyebrow. Not in the arrogant way, Ortega clarified. In the competence way. You're so good at what you do, you forget that other people are still learning, still struggling, still human. Point taken. Try to remember it. He nodded and left. Rhea sat alone in the empty conference room. Outside, voices echoed, people processing what they'd learned, about the exercise, about her. She'd revealed herself. Not fully, not completely, but enough. Enough to change the dynamic, enough to shift the power balance, enough to make the final 3 weeks very interesting. She stood, headed for the door. As she stepped into the hallway, Jefferson was waiting. So, Shadow Company, huh? Yeah. That's intense. It was a long time ago. Jefferson studied her. You know, everyone's going to treat you different now, right? Like you're untouchable, or dangerous, or both. I know. Is that what you wanted? Rhea thought about it. What I wanted was to see how people respond when they realize they've been wrong about someone, when their assumptions get shattered. And most people double down, get defensive, angry, but some... She paused. Some people grow. Jefferson nodded slowly. I think I grew. Yeah, you did. They walked toward the barracks together. Behind them, the base continued its rhythm: training, evolution, selection. The machine of military leadership development, grinding forward. And somewhere in that machine, Rhea Calder was both subject and observer, testing it, learning from it, waiting to see what broke next. The barracks felt different when they walked in. People looked up. Some stared openly. Others pretended not to notice, but their eyes followed Rhea across the room. The whispers had already started, low conversations that stopped when she got too close, then resumed behind her back. Jefferson noticed it too. This is going to be weird for a while. Yeah. You okay with that? Rhea climbed up to her bunk. Doesn't matter if I'm okay with it. It is what it is. She lay down, closed her eyes, but sleep didn't come. Her mind was running scenarios, calculating the ripple effects of the reveal. Some people would respect her more. Some would resent her. Some would be intimidated. Others would see it as a challenge. The dynamic had shifted. The question was how to navigate it. Below her, Jefferson whispered up, Hey, you awake? Yeah. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. What was it like? Shadow company? Real operations? Rhea was quiet for a moment. Intense. Focused. Every decision mattered because lives depended on it. Not hypothetical lives. Real people. Did you ever make the wrong call? Everyone makes wrong calls. The question is whether you learn from them or let them destroy you. Jefferson processed that. Is that why you're here? Learning from something? Something like that. Must have been bad. Rhea didn't answer. After a while, Jefferson said, Well, for what it's worth, I'm glad you're on our team, even if you are terrifying. I'm not terrifying. You absolutely are, but in a good way. Rhea almost smiled. The next morning brought a summons. Rhea was halfway through breakfast when a runner appeared, a junior enlisted from the admin office. Calder, Commander wants to see you, now. The mess hall went quiet. Jefferson looked worried. What did you do? Nothing, yet. Rhea stood, dumped her tray, followed the runner. The command building was on the far side of base, a squat concrete structure with American flags out front and the kind of institutional sterility that said, serious business happens here. The runner led her to a third-floor office. Knocked. Come. Inside, 3 people waited. Master Sergeant Kovich, Captain Ortega, and a man Rhea hadn't seen before. Mid-50s, salt and pepper hair, the weathered look of someone who'd spent decades in the field. His uniform was crisp but worn. His eyes were sharp. Colonel Brennan, according to the nameplate on the desk. Calder, he said. Sit. She sat. Brennan studied her for a long moment. You've caused quite a stir. Sir. Shadow Company. That's not a unit we hear about often, mostly because it doesn't exist anymore. Yes, sir. And yet here you are, at a basic leadership course, pretending to be a regular recruit. He leaned forward. Want to tell me why? Rhea met his eyes. I'm here under orders, sir. Whose orders? Director Marcus Vale, Joint Special Operations Command. Kovich's expression flickered. Surprise. Recognition. Brennan nodded slowly. Vale. I know that name. He runs assessment and selection for Tier 1 units. Yes, sir. And he sent you here to do what exactly? Spy on us? To evaluate training efficacy, cultural integration, and leadership development protocols from a ground-level perspective. Ortega spoke up. With all due respect, sir, we already have evaluation systems, Inspector General visits, after-action reviews, student feedback surveys. All of which are contaminated by awareness, Rhea said. People behave differently when they know they're being evaluated. Director Vale wanted unfiltered data, real behavior, authentic culture. So you lied, Kovich said flatly. I omitted information. There's a difference. Not to the people who trusted you. Rhea held her gaze. You're right, and I'm sorry for that, but the mission required anonymity. Brennan tapped his fingers on the desk. What have you found so far? The technical training is solid. PT standards are appropriate. Tactical instruction is competent. But the cultural issues are significant. Explain. Rhea chose her words carefully. There's a pervasive mentality that mistakes aggression for leadership, that confuses dominance with competence. Recruits like Hale are rewarded for being loud and confident even when their judgment is flawed. Quieter, more methodical people are dismissed as weak. That's military culture, Kovich said, has been for generations. It's ineffective military culture. It selects for the wrong traits. Confidence over competence. Volume over wisdom. It creates leaders who are great at projecting authority, but terrible at making decisions under pressure. Brennan raised an eyebrow. You got all that from 2 weeks undercover? I got it from 2 weeks of being on the receiving end, of being dismissed, mocked, and underestimated despite demonstrating competence repeatedly. If I were actually a struggling recruit instead of an experienced operator, I would have quit by now, and you would have lost someone with potential because your system only recognizes one type of leader. The room was silent. Ortega spoke quietly. She's not wrong. Kovich looked like she wanted to argue, but couldn't find the words. Brennan leaned back in his chair. All right, so what do you recommend? Finish what I started. Let me complete the course. Use the remaining 3 weeks to document specific instances, identify systemic issues, provide actionable recommendations. And your cover? It's already blown, but that's useful too. Now we can observe how the culture adapts, or doesn't, when people know the truth. Brennan considered this, looked at Kovich. Your thoughts? She was quiet for a moment, then, I think she's earned the right to finish. But no more secrets. She operates transparently from here on out. Ortega? Agreed. Transparency. And she still meets every standard like any other recruit. Brennan nodded. All right, Calder. You stay, you train, you observe, but you also participate. No holding back, no special treatment. And at the end of 8 weeks, you provide a full report to JSOC and to this command. Clear? Crystal, sir. Good. Dismissed. Rhea stood, saluted, turned to leave. At the door, Brennan called after her. One more thing. She stopped. Director Vale, how's he doing these days? Rhea turned back. He's well, sir. Still pushing boundaries. That sounds like Marcus, huh? Brennan almost smiled. Tell him Brennan says hello, and that he owes me a bourbon for this headache. I will, sir. She left. Word spread fast. By lunch, everyone knew Rhea had been called to see the colonel. By dinner, rumors were flying about what had been discussed. Some people thought she was being kicked out. Others thought she was being promoted to instructor. A few conspiracy theorists thought she was actually investigating war crimes. The truth, when it leaked through Ortega's loose lips to a senior cadet who told everyone else, was somehow both more mundane and more interesting. She was an evaluator, an observer, still a recruit, but also something more. The reactions varied. Some people were angry, felt betrayed, lied to. A group of them cornered Jefferson in the rec room. Did you know? Demanded a woman from Team 5. About Calder? Not until recently, Jefferson said honestly. And you didn't tell anyone. It wasn't my secret to tell. That's bullshit. We're supposed to be a team. We are a team, which is why I didn't throw her under the bus the second I found out. The argument escalated until Kovich shut it down, but the tension lingered. Other people were fascinated. They started watching Rhea more closely, trying to learn from her movements, her decisions, her approach to problems. Chen was one of them. During the next land nav exercise, he stuck close to Rhea, asking quiet questions. How do you stay so calm under pressure? Practice. And accepting that stress is information, not a threat. What does that mean? Your body's stress response is trying to help you. Elevated heart rate gives you more oxygen. Adrenaline sharpens focus. If you interpret it as panic, you fight it. If you interpret it as preparation, you use it. He processed that. Did they teach you that in Shadow Company? They taught me to survive. I learned the rest on my own. Morris had different questions, tactical ones. During a map exercise, he leaned over. When you're planning an operation, what's your decision framework? Mission first, people second, ego never. Expand on that. Ria traced a route on the map. Mission objective is non-negotiable. You accomplish it or you fail. People, your team, are your most valuable resource. You protect them, develop them, use them wisely. Ego is the enemy. The second you start making decisions to look good or prove something, you've lost. Morris made notes. That's good. That's really good. Even Hale approached her. Not immediately. He spent a few days processing, but eventually, during a break in close-quarters battle drills, he walked over. Can we talk? Ria glanced at him. Sure. They moved away from the group, found a spot near the equipment shed. Hale didn't look at her. I've been thinking about what you said, about bending versus breaking. And I realized I've been breaking people my whole career, pushing them until they quit or conform. I thought that was leadership, making people tougher. But it's just bullying with a rank structure. Ria waited. You broke me in that forest? Or bent me, whatever. But you did it in a way that didn't destroy me. You gave me space to fail, to realize it, to choose differently. He finally looked at her. How did you know I'd come back? I didn't, but I hoped you would. Why? Because people who care enough to get angry care enough to change. The ones who don't care just quit. He nodded slowly. I want to learn, to be better. Can you teach me? I'm not a teacher. Bullshit. You've been teaching us this whole time. We were just too stupid to notice. Ria considered him, saw genuine humility, genuine desire to improve. All right, but you follow instructions, no ego, no shortcuts. Deal. They shook on it. Their sats. The remaining weeks accelerated. The training got harder, longer movements, more complex scenarios, higher stakes simulations. But the culture shifted. People started asking questions instead of assuming answers, started admitting mistakes instead of hiding them, started collaborating instead of competing. Not everyone. Some recruits doubled down on their original attitudes, resentful of the change. But enough people shifted that the overall environment transformed. Team 7 became the unofficial model. Other teams started adopting their approaches. Morris's methodical planning, Chen's adaptive scouting, Jefferson's coordination, Ria's finishing. Even Hale's team evolved. He stopped leading through intimidation and started leading through example. His team's performance didn't drop, it actually improved. The instructors noticed. Kovic pulled Ria aside one evening. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I'm not doing anything special. Bullshit. The culture change is obvious. People are thinking differently, behaving differently. That's them, not me. Kovic studied her. You really don't take credit, do you? Credit doesn't accomplish the mission. See, that attitude, that's what they're learning from you, not tactics, not skills, mindset. Ria shrugged. Mindset is everything. Kovic almost smiled. Yeah, it is. The final evaluation came on week 7, a 72-hour exercise, 3 days of continuous operations, planning, execution, adaptation, survival. Each team received a complex scenario: hostage rescue, facility assault, reconnaissance, and reporting. They had to plan it, resource it, execute it, and debrief it, all while dealing with equipment failures, changing intelligence, and simulated casualties. Team 7 got the hardest scenario: multi-phase operation requiring coordination with 2 other teams across 15 miles of hostile terrain with a time-sensitive objective. They gathered in a planning room with maps, intelligence reports, and 8 hours to build their operation. Morris spread the maps. Okay, phase 1 is infiltration. We move here. He tapped a route, avoiding these patrol patterns. Phase 2 is link up with Team 3 at this rally point. Phase 3 is the actual assault on the target facility. Chen was marking waypoints. Infiltration route is exposed for 2 miles. Will be visible if anyone's watching. So we move at night, Jefferson said. Enemy has night vision according to the intel, Ria pointed out. She studied the map. What if we use the Wadi system here? It's slower, provides concealment, adds distance but reduces exposure. Morris recalculated. That works. Adds 40 minutes but cuts detection risk by 60%. They built the plan methodically. Every detail, every contingency. Hale's team was working on a related scenario in the next room. They had to secure an airfield while Team 7 assaulted the facility. At hour 6, Hale knocked on their door. "Can we coordinate?" Jefferson opened it. "What do you need?" "Our timeline has us securing the airfield at H hour plus 2. Your assault is H hour plus 3. That's tight. If we're delayed, you don't have an exfil platform." Rhea looked at their plan. "Can you move your timeline up?" "Not without cutting corners on clearance procedures. That risks casualties." "Then we adjust our timeline. Push the assault to H hour plus 4. That gives you buffer." Morris frowned. "That puts us in daylight for exfil. Higher risk." "But lower risk than having no exfil at all," Rhea said. "We adapt." They revised the plan. The execution phase started at midnight. Full kit. Live ammunition training rounds. Role players acting as enemy forces. Evaluators watching everything. Team 7 moved through the darkness like ghosts. Silent, coordinated, using hand signals and pre-planned rally points. The infiltration went smooth. They reached the link-up with Team 3 on schedule. But then the scenario twisted. An evaluator stepped out. "Simulated intelligence update. Hostages have been moved to a secondary location. New coordinates." He handed them a card. The new location was 3 miles north, not on their planned route. Jefferson looked at Rhea. "What do we do?" Rhea studied the map by red lens flashlight. "We split. Half the team continues to the primary target. It might be a diversion. Half goes to secondary." "That splits our combat power," Morris said. "It also covers both possibilities. If we guess wrong and go all in on one target, we fail the scenario." They made the call. Rhea led the secondary team, her, Chen, and 2 people from Team 3. Jefferson led the primary team, her, Morris, Donnelly, and the rest. They moved out. Rhea's element covered 3 miles in 40 minutes. Brutal pace. When they reached the secondary location, a small building near a ridgeline, they found role players inside with hostage markers. It was the real objective. They executed the rescue. Smooth, professional, no casualties. Meanwhile, Jefferson's team hit the primary location and found it empty, a decoy, exactly as Rhea had predicted. They regrouped at the exfil point just as Hale's team radioed that the airfield was secure. Total mission time, 4 hours, 17 minutes. Well within parameters. 0 simulated casualties. All objectives met. The evaluators looked impressed. The final debrief was held in the base theater, big enough for all remaining recruits, all instructors, and the brass. 58 people had started the course. 41 remained. Colonel Brennan stood at the podium. "Congratulations! You've completed the Iron Ridge Joint Leadership course. Some of you excelled. Some of you struggled. All of you learned something." He pulled up team standings on a screen. First place, Team 7. Second place, Team 2, Hale's team. Third place, Team 3, Garcia's team. Applause filled the room. Top 3 teams receive honor graduate distinction and first selection for advanced courses. But more importantly, you've developed something rare, genuine leadership capability. He gestured to Kovich. She stepped forward. "Throughout this course, we've seen cultural evolution. People who started as competitors became collaborators. People who led through intimidation learned to lead through influence. This doesn't happen often, and when it does, it's worth recognizing." She looked directly at Rhea. "Some of you know by now that we had an embedded evaluator, someone tasked with observing our training from inside. That person didn't just observe, she participated, contributed, and catalyzed change." Rhea felt everyone's eyes on her. Called her, front and center. She stood, walked to the front. Brennan handed her a folder. "Your final report is due to JSOC in 2 weeks, but I wanted you to have this now." She opened it. Inside, a commendation letter and a job offer. "We want you on the instructor cadre," Brennan said. "Permanent position, teaching leadership, cultural development, adaptive tactics. Your choice of duty station." Rhea stared at the letter. Ortega spoke from the side. "We need people like you in the training pipeline. People who understand that leadership isn't about being the loudest or the toughest. It's about making others better." She looked up. "Can I think about it?" "Of course. You've got time." She returned to her seat. The ceremony continued. Awards were handed out. Speeches were made. Photos were taken. But Ria's mind was elsewhere. She'd come here to evaluate a system, to identify flaws, to recommend changes. She'd found all that, but she'd also found something unexpected. A group of people willing to grow, willing to challenge themselves, willing to become better leaders. And maybe, she thought, that was worth staying for. After the ceremony, people scattered to celebrate, pack gear, make travel arrangements. Ria walked to the payphone, fed in coins, dialed a number she'd memorized years ago. 3 rings. Then, Vale. It's me. Viper. Marcus Vale's voice was warm. How'd it go? Better than expected, and more complicated. Complicated how? She told him everything, the reveal, the confrontation with Hale, the cultural shift, the final evaluation, the job offer. Vale listened without interrupting. When she finished, he was quiet for a moment. Then, what do you want to do? I don't know. Part of me wants to come back to operational work. Part of me thinks teaching might be more important. They're both important. Question is which one matters more to you right now. Ria watched the sun set through the phone booth window. When I was in Shadow Company, we changed the world in small ways. Individual operations, specific targets, tactical victories. And here, I changed 40 people, shifted how they think about leadership. That impact ripples. They go on to lead others. Who lead others? Exponential effect. So you're leaning toward teaching. I'm leaning toward impact. Vale chuckled. That's my girl. Always thinking strategic. Is that a yes? It's a trust your gut. You've never been wrong when you listen to it. They talked for a few more minutes. About Bolivia. About the team members who'd survived. About what came next. When they hung up, Ria stood there for a moment. Then she walked back to the barracks. Jefferson was packing when Ria arrived. Hey, you heading out tomorrow? Yeah, got orders to my next duty station. Report in 72 hours. Jefferson zipped up her bag. What about you? Still deciding? The instructor offer? How'd you know about that? Chen heard it from Morris, who heard it from someone who was in the debrief room. Jefferson smiled. Military gossip spreads faster than wildfire. Ria sat on her footlocker. You think I should take it? Honestly, yeah. You're good at this. Better than good. And the military needs people who can teach without breaking students. That's a low bar. It's the bar we have. Jefferson sat beside her. Look, I know you're used to high-speed operations and saving the world, but this, teaching people to lead better, that saves the world too, just slower. Slower feels wrong. Slower feels sustainable. They sat in comfortable silence. Then Jefferson said, Whatever you decide, I'm glad we met. You changed how I think about leadership, about myself. That's worth something. You changed too, that's all you. Maybe, but you showed me it was possible. Jefferson stood, extended her hand. Stay in touch? Ria shook it. Yeah, stay in touch. Jefferson grabbed her bags, paused at the door. Oh, and Ria? For what it's worth, you're not as terrifying as I thought. Just very, very competent. That's the same thing. Yeah, kind of is. She left. Yeah. Ria spent the evening walking the base. The PT field where she'd run countless miles. The range where she'd qualified. The gym where everything had started to shift. She found Hale near the flagpole, sitting on a bench. He looked up. Thought you'd be celebrating. Not really my style. Yeah, I've noticed. He gestured to the bench. Sit. She did. They watched the flag in the fading light. I'm taking a platoon leader position, Hale said. Infantry unit, Fort Bragg. Gonna try to implement what I learned here. That's good. It's terrifying, all those people depending on me to not fuck up. Welcome to leadership, he smiled. You taking the instructor job? Probably. Good. You should. The next group of recruits needs someone like you. Someone terrifying. Someone real. They sat in silence for a while. Then Hale stood. Thanks for not destroying me when you could have. For giving me a chance to be better. You did the work. I just created space for it. Still. Thanks. He walked away. Rhea sat alone watching the sky darken. Stars emerged one by one. Somewhere in her pocket, the job offer letter pressed against her leg. She pulled it out, read it again in the dim light. Then she made her decision. The next morning, Rhea knocked on Colonel Brennan's office door. "Come in." She entered, saluted. "Calder, I was hoping you'd stop by." He gestured to a chair. "What's your decision?" She sat. "I'll take the instructor position. 1-year commitment. After that, we reassess." "Fair enough." He pulled out paperwork. "We'll need you to start in 6 weeks. That gives you time to outprocess from JSOC, relocate, get settled." "Where will I be stationed?" "Here. Iron Ridge. You'll rotate through other facilities quarterly, but this is home base." "And the curriculum?" "You design it. Leadership development, cultural integration, adaptive tactics. You've got free rein to build what you think works." Rhea nodded slowly. "I want to bring in guest instructors, people from different backgrounds, civilian sector, international partners, enlisted perspectives." "Done. And I want to change the selection criteria. Stop filtering for confidence and start filtering for competence. Stop prioritizing volume and start prioritizing wisdom." "That's going to be controversial." "Most important changes are." Brennan smiled. "All right, you've got my support. Make it work." She stood, saluted. "Yes, sir." "One more thing, Calder." She paused. "Marcus Vale called me yesterday. Said you'd probably take the job. Said I'd be lucky to have you." Brennan leaned back. "He also said you're the most stubborn, principled, difficult person he's ever worked with." "He's not wrong." "Good. We need difficult people. The easy ones don't change anything." She left his office with orders in hand and a new mission. Rhea spent the next 3 days finishing her report to JSOC, 40 pages of observations, analysis, and recommendations. The key findings. 1. Current selection criteria over-indexed on confidence and aggression, creating a culture of toxic masculinity that drove away competent but quieter leaders. 2. Instructor bias toward extroverted, loud recruits created feedback loops where the wrong traits were rewarded. 3. Team-based evaluations were more effective than individual competitions at identifying genuine leadership capability. 4. Cultural change was possible but required sustained effort, modeling from authority figures and accountability for bad behavior. 5. The most effective leaders weren't the most naturally gifted. They were the most willing to learn, adapt, and put mission before ego. She sent the report to Vale with a cover note. Recommend systemic changes across all joint leadership courses. Timeline, 12 to 18 months for implementation. Success criteria, reduced attrition, improved graduate performance in follow-on assignments, measurable cultural shifts. His response came back within an hour. Approved. Make it happen. And Rhea, proud of you. She stared at the message for a long time. Then she packed her gear and prepared to leave Iron Ridge, temporarily. She'd be back in 6 weeks, as an instructor, as an agent of change, as someone who'd proven that quiet strength could be just as powerful as loud dominance. Maybe more. On her last day, Team 7 gathered in the barracks. Morris, Chen, Jefferson, and even Donnelly, who'd been medically cleared after his ankle healed. "So this is goodbye," Chen said. "For now," Rhea corrected. "I'll be back." As an instructor, though, different dynamic. "Same mission, make people better." Jefferson handed her a card. "We all signed it. Don't read it now. Wait until you're on the road." Rhea took it. "Thanks." Morris stepped forward, formal. "You taught me that planning is important, but adaptation is essential. That competence without humility is just arrogance. That, Morris," he stopped. "You already knew all that. You just needed permission to believe it." He nodded, smiled slightly. Chen was next. "You showed me that being small doesn't mean being weak, that speed matters, but so does patience. That..." "Chen." "Right. I already knew. Got it." Donnelly shook her hand. "Thanks for not giving up on me. On any of us. I didn't do anything special." "You did. You just don't take credit for it." They stood in awkward silence for a moment. Then Jefferson pulled everyone into a group hug. Okay, this is weird, Rhea said. Shut up and hug, Jefferson commanded. They did. When they broke apart, everyone had suspiciously bright eyes. All right, Rhea said. Get out of here. You've got duty stations to report to. They filed out one by one. Jefferson lingered. You're going to be a great instructor. I hope so. You will be, because you care about getting it right more than looking good doing it. Is that a compliment? The highest I give. They clasped hands. Then Jefferson left too. Rhea stood alone in the empty barracks. She looked at her bunk, the footlocker, the space she'd occupied for 8 weeks. Then she grabbed her bag and walked out. The drive-off base was quiet. Rhea stopped at the gate, showed her orders to the MP, received a salute. As she drove away, Iron Ridge shrank in her rearview mirror. She thought about the people she'd met, the changes she'd witnessed, the culture that had shifted, slowly, imperfectly, but genuinely. She thought about Hale, who'd learned to lead without breaking people. About Jefferson, who'd learned to trust her own judgment. About Morris, who'd learned that his analytical mind was a leadership strength, not a weakness. About Chen, who'd learned that size and volume didn't determine value. About all 41 graduates who'd learned that leadership was earned, not demanded. 20 miles down the road, she pulled over, opened the card Jefferson had given her. Inside, handwritten messages from the team. Morris. Excellence is quiet. Thank you for showing us that. Chen. The best leaders don't announce themselves. They prove themselves. You did both. E. Donnelly. You saved my ass more than once, literally and figuratively. Forever grateful. Jefferson. You're the most real person I've ever met. Don't change, except maybe be less terrifying. Kidding. Stay terrifying. At the bottom, one more note in different handwriting. Hale. You broke me down and built me back better. That's what real leaders do. Thank you. Rhea closed the card, sat there for a minute. Then she put the car in drive and headed toward her future. Behind her, Iron Ridge continued its mission, training leaders, selecting warriors, building the next generation, and now, with new protocols, new approaches, new cultural foundations, building them better. All because one woman had been willing to be underestimated, to endure mockery, to reveal truth at the right moment, to prove that power doesn't announce itself, it just is. 6 weeks felt like 6 minutes and 6 years at the same time. Rhea spent the first 2 weeks at JSOC headquarters in North Carolina, debriefing with Vale and his team. They dissected every aspect of her Iron Ridge experience, the cultural dynamics, the training gaps, the moments of transformation. The key finding, she told a room full of senior officers, is that we're selecting for the wrong traits. We prioritize people who look like leaders over people who actually are leaders. And we're paying for it in retention, performance, and cultural toxicity. A 2-star general in the back raised his hand. You're suggesting we fundamentally change how we identify leadership potential across all branches? I'm suggesting we stop confusing confidence with competence. Stop rewarding volume over wisdom. Start valuing the quiet professionals who get the job done without needing applause. That's a massive cultural shift. It's a necessary one. The briefing lasted 3 hours. By the end, she had provisional approval to pilot new selection protocols at Iron Ridge, with expansion to other facilities if results proved positive. Vale walked her out afterward. You know you just volunteered for years of bureaucratic warfare, right? I've faced worse. Have you, though? He smiled. Combat is simple. You shoot people who are trying to shoot you. Cultural change means convincing people to abandon methods that made them successful. That's harder. Probably. But someone has to do it. Yeah. He clapped her shoulder. Someone does. Glad it's you. The next 4 weeks were a blur of preparation, curriculum development, instructor coordination, facility arrangements, policy rewrites. Rhea worked 18-hour days building something from scratch. And then, before she was ready, it was time to go back. Iron Ridge looked the same but felt different. Rhea arrived on a Sunday evening 2 days before the new class started. The base was quiet. Skeleton crew, no recruits yet, just the hum of preparation. She reported to the instructor housing, a small apartment on the far side of base. 1 bedroom, kitchenette, Spartan furniture. It felt like a barracks room with slightly better amenities. She unpacked methodically. Uniforms in the closet, gear staged for easy access, personal items minimal, a few books, a photo of the Shadow Company team from before Bolivia, the card from Team 7. That night, she couldn't sleep. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, second-guessing every decision, wondering if she was qualified to teach leadership when her own career had been defined by operating in shadows, making unilateral decisions, trusting no one. Around 0300, she gave up on sleep. Put on running shoes. Hit the PT field. 5 miles. Fast pace, trying to outrun the doubt. She was finishing her cool-down when headlights swept across the field. A truck pulled up. Ortega got out. "Couldn't sleep either?" he called. "Something like that." He walked over. "First-class jitters, totally normal. I don't get jitters. Everyone gets jitters, you just hide them better." He gestured to the bleachers. "Got a minute?" They sat. Ortega pulled out a thermos. "Coffee. Want some?" "Sure." He poured 2 cups. They drank in silence for a moment. Then he said, "I've been teaching here for 4 years. Every single class, the night before they arrive, I question everything. Wonder if I'm doing it right, if I'm making a difference." And the answer is always the same. I don't know. Won't know for years, maybe decades. The impact of teaching isn't immediate. It ripples out slowly. Rhea sipped the coffee. That's not reassuring. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be honest. He looked at her. "But here's what I do know. You changed 40 people in 8 weeks. Changed how they think, how they lead, how they see themselves. That's not luck. That's skill. And tomorrow, you get to do it again. What if it doesn't work this time? Then you adapt, just like you taught them to do." They sat until the sun started to rise, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Ortega stood. "First formation is 0800. Don't be late." "I'm never late." "Yeah, I've noticed." He drove away. Rhea watched the sunrise for another 10 minutes. Then she headed back to her apartment, showered, and prepared for day 1. 65 recruits arrived at Iron Ridge that Monday morning. Rhea stood with the other instructors as the buses pulled in, watching people disembark, nervous, excited, cocky, scared, the full spectrum of human emotion packed into green uniforms and uncomfortable boots. Kovich was lead instructor again. She ran the initial formation with her usual granite authority. "Welcome to Iron Ridge. For the next 8 weeks, this facility is your entire world. We're not teaching you to shine boots. We're teaching you to lead under pressure. The washout rate is 62%. Most of you will fail. Questions?" No one spoke. "Good. Instructors, introduce yourselves." Ortega went first, then Van, then 2 new instructors Rhea hadn't met, a Marine captain and an Air Force major. Finally, Kovich gestured to Rhea. "And this is Instructor Calder, former Shadow Company. She'll be teaching adaptive leadership and cultural integration." Murmurs rippled through the formation. A few recruits looked impressed. Others looked skeptical. One recruit, a tall guy in the front row with the swagger of someone who'd never been told no, raised his hand. Kovich sighed. "What? Is she qualified? She looks like she's 12. Laughter from some quarters. Rhea didn't react. Kovich's voice could have cut steel. "She's 32, has more combat deployments than you have brain cells, and will absolutely destroy you in any physical or tactical evolution you care to name. Try her if you want. The med bay is open 24/7. Silence. "Anyone else have stupid questions?" No hands. "Good. You have 10 minutes to stow gear. Move." The formation scattered. Ortega walked over to Rhea. "That was fun." "They're going to test me. You know that." "Of course they are. You're young. You're a woman. You're a former operator. That's 3 strikes in the eyes of insecure men." He smiled. "But you've handled worse." "Yeah, I have." Go on. The first test came on day 2. Morning PT, 3-mile run in formation. The tall recruit from yesterday, name tape read Sullivan, positioned himself right behind Rhea. For the first mile, he ran close. Too close. Stepping on her heels, breathing loud, trying to intimidate. Rhea ignored him. Second mile, he started talking. So, Shadow Company, that's Tier 1, right? What was it like? Lots of cool guy missions? She didn't respond. Or maybe it wasn't that elite. Maybe they just gave everyone a tattoo to make them feel special. Still nothing. I'm talking to you, instructor, Ria spoke without turning around. And I'm running. Focus on your own pace. I'm just curious about your credentials since you're supposed to be teaching us. My credentials were verified by people way above your pay grade. That should be enough. But what if it's not? She stopped running. The formation continued past her. Sullivan stopped too, confused. Ria looked at him. You have two choices. Run your mouth or run the course. Pick one. I'm just asking questions. No, you're testing boundaries, seeing if you can rattle me, make me react. She stepped closer. Here's what happens next. You drop this, focus on training, and maybe graduate. Or you keep pushing, and I make the next 8 weeks so miserable you quit by week 3. Your choice. He stared at her, tried to read her face, found nothing. Finally, he turned and ran to catch up with the formation. Ria resumed her pace. Ortega, who'd been watching from the side, jogged over. Handled that well. He'll try again. Probably. They always do. The real breakthrough came on day 9. Team-based navigation exercise. Same evolution Ria had experienced during her recruit time. Find 3 caches, combine codes, reach final objective. Sullivan's team struggled from the start. They argued about routes, second-guessed their navigator, made emotional decisions instead of tactical ones. By hour 6, they were lost. Ria was observing from a tracking vehicle, monitoring all teams via GPS. She watched Sullivan's team circle the same area 3 times. Kovic, riding in the passenger seat, shook her head. They're going to fail. Probably. Should we intervene? Not yet. Let them figure it out. They're not going to figure it out. Sullivan's too busy being right to consider he might be wrong. Ria thought about it. Give them another hour. If they're still lost, I'll go in. 63 minutes later, Sullivan's team was in the same spot. Ria grabbed her radio and hiked to their location. She found them sitting in a clearing, map spread out, arguing. If you just listened to me, your way didn't work because you keep overriding my calls. Ria stepped into the clearing. Having fun? They all turned. Sullivan's face flushed. Instructor, we're just lost. You're lost. She walked to the map, studied it. How long have you been in this grid square? About 2 hours. And in that time, how many different approaches have you tried? Silence. I'm guessing 0, because you've been arguing instead of testing. She pointed to a ridge. That high ground gives you visibility to 3 possible cache locations. Go up there, glass the area, identify landmarks, then make a decision based on data instead of pride. Sullivan nodded slowly. Yes, instructor. And Sullivan? Yes, instructor. Stop trying to be the smartest person in the room. Start trying to make the room smarter. There's a difference. She left them to work it out. By the end of the day, Sullivan's team had found all 3 caches and reached the final objective. Not fastest, not cleanest, but they finished. In the debrief, Sullivan raised his hand. Instructor Calder, can I say something? Go ahead. I was wrong. About you. About a lot of things. He looked at his team. I've been leading like being right matters more than getting results, and that's not leadership. Ria nodded. Recognizing that is the first step. Changing it is the hard part. Will you help me? That's why I'm here. Artet. The weeks progressed. Ria taught her curriculum, adaptive leadership, decision-making under uncertainty, cultural intelligence. But more than content, she taught mindset. She taught them that leadership wasn't about dominance, it was about service. That confidence without competence was just arrogance. That quiet professionals often accomplish more than loud ones. That admitting mistakes was strength, not weakness. That the best teams were built on trust, not fear. Some recruits embraced it immediately, others fought it. A few never got it and washed out. But slowly the culture shifted. By week 4, the cohort dynamics looked different from previous classes. Less hazing, more collaboration. People helping each other instead of competing. Kovic noticed. Whatever you're doing, it's working. It's not me, it's them. Bullshit. You're modeling a different way. They're following your example. Maybe, but they're choosing to follow. That's the important part. The turning point came on week 6. A recruit named Davies, quiet, methodical, consistently middle of the pack, was struggling with a tactical problem-solving scenario. His team was getting frustrated. Sullivan, now acting as team leader, pulled Davies aside. Rhea watched from a distance. "Talk to me," Sullivan said. What's the issue?" "I don't know. I can't think under pressure. Everyone's watching, everyone's expecting me to have answers, and my brain freezes." Sullivan glanced at Rhea. She nodded encouragingly. He turned back to Davies. "Okay, so pressure is information, not a threat. Your body's trying to help you. Stop fighting it. Use it." Davies blinked. That's what Instructor Calder says." "Yeah, because she's right." Sullivan put a hand on Davies' shoulder. "You're smart. You're capable. You just need to trust yourself. We've got your back. Take your time. Make the call." Davies took a breath, looked at the problem again, started working through it methodically. 5 minutes later, he had a solution. It worked. His team cheered. Rhea felt something shift in her chest. Pride, maybe. Or satisfaction. This was it. This was the moment she'd been working toward. Not her success. Theirs. Well, the final evaluation came on week 8. Same 72-hour exercise, different scenarios, same principles. Rhea observed from the operations center, watching GPS tracks and radio traffic. The teams moved with a coordination and maturity she hadn't seen in previous classes. They communicated. They adapted. They supported each other. When one team hit a major obstacle, their primary route washed out by unexpected rain, instead of panicking, they radioed the other teams, coordinated a new approach, and executed flawlessly. Ortega, watching the same feeds, whistled. "This cohort is special. They're just well trained." "No, training explains technical competence. This is cultural. They actually care about each other's success." Kovic joined them. "Final tallies are in. We have a 41% completion rate. That's 12 points higher than historical average." "Attrition or quit?" Rhea asked. "Mostly quit, and most of the quitters were people who couldn't adapt to the collaborative culture. They wanted the old way: compete, dominate, survive." "Good. That means the selection is working." The exercise concluded with all remaining teams successfully completing their objectives. 0 simulated casualties. Total mission success. The graduation ceremony was held on a Friday morning. 38 recruits remained from the original 65. Lower than average attrition, higher than average performance. Colonel Brennan gave the keynote. "This cohort represents a shift in how we develop leaders. You didn't just learn tactics and techniques. You learned how to build teams, how to adapt under pressure, how to put mission before ego. That's rare. That's valuable." He called out the top 3 teams. Sullivan's team had taken first place. When Sullivan accepted the honor graduate certificate, he looked at Rhea and nodded. She nodded back. After the ceremony, recruits scattered to celebrate, pack, move on to their next assignments. Sullivan approached Rhea. "Can I talk to you for a second?" "Sure." They walked away from the crowd, found a quiet spot near the flagpole. "I wanted to thank you," Sullivan said. "When I got here, I was everything wrong with military leadership. Arrogant, loud, convinced I was right about everything. And now? Now I know I don't have all the answers, but I know how to find them, by listening, by collaborating, by checking my ego." He smiled. "You broke me down and built me back better, just like you did with Hale's class. You did the work. I just created space for it. Still, thank you." He extended his hand. She shook it. "Where are you headed?" "Platoon leader position. Infantry. Fort Campbell." He paused. "I'm going to try to build the kind of culture you built here. Make my platoon a place where people can grow." "That's good. That's exactly what we need." "Any advice?" "Lead by example. Admit mistakes. Value people over pride. And remember that the best leaders are servants, not kings." He nodded. "I'll remember." They stood in silence for a moment. Then Sullivan said, You know what the difference is between you and every other instructor I've had? What? You actually believe in us. Not just the ones who are naturally good. All of us. Even the screw-ups like me. Everyone's a screw-up until they're not. The question is whether you give them the chance to change. Yeah, he smiled. That's exactly what I mean. He walked away. Rhea watched him go, then turned to find Davies waiting nearby. Instructor? Davies, congratulations on graduating. Thank you. I wanted to give you this. He handed her an envelope. Inside, a handwritten letter. She scanned it. The words blurred together, gratitude, growth, transformation, but the sentiment was clear. You didn't have to do this, she said. I know, but I wanted you to know that you changed my life. I was going to quit on day 3. The pressure, the competition, the constant feeling of being not good enough, it was overwhelming. What changed? You. The way you taught us that leadership isn't about being the loudest or the toughest, that there's space for people like me, quiet, analytical, methodical. He smiled. You gave me permission to be myself and still be a leader. Rhea felt something catch in her throat. You always had that permission. You just needed to believe it. Maybe, but you helped me believe it. He saluted, turned, and left. Rhea stood alone, holding the letter. Around her, the base was alive with motion, recruits loading bags, instructors debriefing, the next class already being prepared. The cycle continued, always would. But now it was a different cycle, a better one. That evening, the instructor cadre gathered for an informal debrief. Kovich, Ortega, Van, the Marine captain, the Air Force major, and Rhea. They sat in Kovich's office, drinking coffee, processing the class. Best cohort I've seen in 5 years, Van said. The culture was completely different. Credit goes to Calder, Kovich said. Her curriculum, her approach, her modeling, that's what shifted things. It wasn't just me, Rhea said. You all adapted, changed how you taught, reinforced the principles. Because you showed us it was possible, Ortega said. Before this class, I thought culture was fixed, that we couldn't change decades of toxic patterns. You proved me wrong. The Marine captain spoke up. What's next? We expanding this approach to other facilities? Already in motion, Kovich said. JSOC approved pilot programs at 3 more locations. If results are consistent, it goes service-wide. Van whistled. That's massive. That's necessary, Rhea said quietly. They talked for another hour, sharing observations, identifying improvements, planning the next iteration. When it ended, Ortega walked Rhea out. You did good, he said. We did good? Fine. We did good. He paused. You staying for the next class? Yeah, I committed to a year. Might extend if it keeps working. It will. This isn't a fluke. This is a fundamental shift. He looked at her. You started something important here. We'll see. No, we won't see. We already know. The data's clear. The outcomes are better. The culture is healthier. He smiled. You just don't like taking credit. Credit doesn't accomplish the mission. There you go again. They stood in the cool evening air. Finally, Rhea said, Thank you for supporting this, for believing in it. Thank you for showing us a better way. Yet, 2 weeks later, Rhea received a package. No return address. Postmarked from Fort Campbell. Inside, a photo. Sullivan and his platoon. 32 soldiers. They were gathered around a sign that read, Mission first, people second, ego never. On the back of the photo, Sullivan had written, Building the culture you taught us. It's working. Thank you. Rhea pinned the photo to her office wall. Next to it, she added the card from Team 7 and the letter from Davies. Over the following months, more arrived. Photos, letters, updates from graduates implementing the principles they'd learned. Hale sent a message from Fort Bragg. Platoon morale is up, performance is up, re-enlistment is up. Turns out people like leaders who don't treat them like shit. Who knew? Jefferson sent a photo of her new team with a note. Brought your methods to air traffic control. Even desk jockeys need good leadership, making a difference. Thanks for showing me how. Moore sent a detailed analysis of his unit's performance metrics before and after implementing collaborative leadership practices. The numbers spoke for themselves, dramatic improvements across every category. Chen sent a simple postcard. Still small, still fast, still proving that size doesn't matter. Thanks for teaching me that. The wall filled up over time. Evidence of ripple effects, proof that culture could change, that leadership could evolve, that one person, willing to be underestimated, could shift an entire system. 6 months into her instructor tenure, Rhea was called to Colonel Brennan's office. She knocked, entered. Marcus Vale was sitting in the visitor's chair. Marcus? Surprise. He stood, smiled, embraced her. Thought I'd check on my favorite culture warrior. Brennan gestured for them to sit. Director Vale wanted to see the program firsthand. I gave him the full tour. And? Rhea looked at Vale. And I'm impressed. Completion rates up, performance metrics up, culture measurably healthier. You did exactly what you said you'd do. We did. The whole team. There you go, not taking credit again. Vale pulled out a folder. JSOC wants to expand. Roll this out to all joint leadership courses. 15 facilities, 300 instructors, thousands of recruits annually. That's huge. It's necessary. The data's conclusive. Your approach works. He slid the folder across. They want you to lead the implementation. Director of Leadership Development. Coordinate across all facilities. Set standards. Train instructors. Oversee the cultural transformation. Rhea opened the folder. Read the position description. It was a promotion, a significant one. More responsibility, more impact, more everything. When would it start? She asked. Immediately. You'd need to relocate to JSOC headquarters, travel constantly, build a team, manage a massive change initiative. She looked at the wall of her office, visible through Brennan's window. The photos, the letters, the evidence of individual lives changed. Then she looked back at Vale. Can I think about it? Of course. Take a week. But Rhea, he leaned forward. This is a chance to scale what you've done here. To change not just one facility or one class, but the entire military leadership pipeline. That's legacy-level impact. I know. So what's the hesitation? She chose her words carefully. When I was in Shadow Company, we operated at strategic level. Big targets, high stakes, decisive impacts. And individual operators were just tools, interchangeable parts. The mission was everything. That's how Tier 1 units work. Yeah, and I was good at it. But here, she gestured toward her office, here I know the names of every recruit who graduates. I watch them struggle and grow. I see the moment they transform. That's not scalable. That's personal. Vale nodded slowly. You're saying you'd rather teach 40 people deeply than influence thousands superficially. I'm saying I don't know yet. Both matter. I just need to figure out which one I'm supposed to do. Fair enough. He stood. Think about it. Let me know. After he left, Brennan spoke. What are you leaning toward? Honestly, I don't know. Can I offer perspective? Please. You're one of the best tactical operators I've ever seen, but you're an even better teacher, and good teachers are rarer than good operators. He paused. The question isn't what you're capable of. It's where you create the most value. And you think that's here? I think that's a question only you can answer. Rhea spent the next week observing the new class. 62 recruits, fresh faces, old patterns. She watched them arrive cocky, uncertain, eager, scared. Watched the first conflicts emerge, the first tests of will, the first moments where culture either solidified or shifted. And she watched her fellow instructors implement the methods she'd helped develop. Modeling collaboration, rewarding humility, challenging toxic behavior, creating space for growth. It was working. Not perfectly, not universally, but measurably. On day 5, she sat in on a team debrief led by Ortega. A recruit, young, female, soft-spoken, had made a tactical error during an exercise. Ortega was walking through it with the team. So what happened? He asked. The recruit, name tape read Chen, no relation to the Chen from Team 7, spoke quietly. I miscalculated the distance, called the wrong correction, cost us time. Okay, and what did you learn? To double-check my math, to ask for verification before committing. Good. Anyone else have input? Her team leader, a guy who reminded Rhea of Sullivan before his transformation, spoke up. I should have caught it. I saw the numbers and didn't question them. That's on me too. Exactly, Ortega said. Failure is rarely individual. It's systemic. The question is whether the team learns from it together. After the debrief, Rhea pulled Ortega aside. That was good. Really good. Learned from the best. You're giving me too much credit. There you go again, she smiled. That night, she made her decision. Oshat. She called Vale from her apartment. I'm staying, she said when he answered. At Iron Ridge? Yeah, at least for now. The strategic level work is important. But so is this, and I think… She paused. I think I'm more effective here. Teaching individuals, building culture one person at a time. Vale was quiet for a moment. You know you're giving up a significant career opportunity. I know. And you're okay with that? I am. Because impact isn't about scale. It's about depth. I'd rather change 40 people fundamentally than influence thousands superficially. That's a very Viper answer. Is that good or bad? It's authentic, which is always good. He sighed. All right. I'll let JSOC know. They'll find someone else to run the expansion. Actually, Rhea said, I have a recommendation. Who? Captain Ortega. He's been implementing these methods successfully. He believes in them, and he has the interpersonal skills to manage a large team. You think he can do it? I know he can. All right, I'll reach out to him. They talked for a few more minutes about the program, about life, about the future. When they hung up, Rhea felt settled. The decision was right. She knew it in her bones. 3 months later, Ortega accepted the director position. Before he left, he and Rhea met one final time. You sure about this? He asked. You could have had this job. I'm sure. You're the right person for it. I'm going to lean on you, call you constantly, drive you insane with questions. I expect nothing less. They stood in the parking lot, his car loaded with boxes. Thank you, he said, for everything, for showing me a better way, for trusting me with this. You earned it. We both know that's not true. You created the program. You proved it works. I'm just scaling it. Scaling matters. Someone has to do it. He smiled. Yeah, someone does. They shook hands, then he drove away, heading toward his new mission, and Rhea walked back to her office, ready for hers. 2 years passed. Rhea taught 16 cohorts, watched 637 recruits move through the program. 294 graduated. The rest washed out or quit. Every graduate took the culture with them, spread it to their units, their teams, their organizations. The ripple effects were measurable. Retention rates climbed. Performance metrics improved. Incidents of harassment and toxic behavior dropped. The military was changing, slowly, imperfectly, but genuinely, and Rhea was part of it. Not from the shadows this time, not as an anonymous operator, but as a teacher, a mentor, a catalyst for transformation. Her office wall was covered now, hundreds of photos, thousands of words. Evidence of lives changed. On quiet evenings, she'd sit and read through them. Sullivan's regular updates about his platoon's performance. Jefferson's photos from air traffic control teams across 3 continents. Morris's statistical analyses proving collaborative leadership outperformed authoritarian approaches. Chen's postcards from deployments where his small stature and quick thinking saved lives. Hale's quarterly check-ins, always ending with, "Still bending, not breaking. Thanks for teaching me the difference." Davy's long letters about overcoming his insecurities and becoming a respected team leader, and hundreds of others. People she'd taught, people they'd taught. The exponential impact of cultural change. One evening, near the end of her 2nd year, a new recruit knocked on her office door during admin time. Instructor called her. "Yeah, come in." A young woman entered, early 20s, nervous energy. I'm Harris. Just got here today. I wanted to introduce myself. Okay, welcome to Iron Ridge. Thank you. I wanted to tell you something. Rhea gestured to a chair. Sit. Harris sat, hands clasped. My older brother went through this program 2 years ago. He was in the first cohort you taught. Sullivan? Rhea's memory flashed. Sullivan. Yeah, I remember him. He told me about you, about what you taught him, about how you changed his entire approach to leadership. Harris looked up. I joined the military because of what he became after this course. He went from being an arrogant instructor, to being the kind of leader people want to follow. He did that work himself. He said you'd say that. Harris smiled. But he also said you created the space for him to change. And that's what I want to learn, how to create that space for others. Rhea studied the young woman, saw the same nervous energy Sullivan had carried, the same underlying potential. You're going to struggle here, Rhea said. Everyone does. The question is whether you use that struggle to grow or to justify quitting. I'm not going to quit. Good, then we'll get along fine. Harris stood, saluted. Thank you, instructor. For what? For changing my brother. For giving me something to aspire to. She left. Rhea sat alone in her office. The cycle continued. Always would. But it was a better cycle now. A healthier one. Built on principles of collaboration instead of competition, humility instead of arrogance, service instead of dominance, growth instead of survival. She thought about the journey that had brought her here. From shadow company operator to undercover recruit to instructor to cultural architect. It hadn't been the path she'd expected, but it was the path she'd needed. And maybe, she thought, that was the whole point of leadership, not following the expected path, but creating new ones. Not proving you're better than others, but making others better than they were. Not seeking applause, but creating space for transformation. 5 years later, Rhea stood on the Iron Ridge parade ground during a change of command ceremony. She was stepping down, not retiring, just moving on to the next mission. JSOC had asked her to develop similar programs for international partners, teaching allied forces the same principles, spreading the culture globally. It was time. Colonel Brennan, now a general, gave the speech. Instructor Calder came to us as an evaluator. She stayed as a teacher. She leaves as a legend. He looked at her. In 7 years, you've touched thousands of lives, changed how we develop leaders, shifted the culture of an entire institution. That's not just impressive. That's historic. Polite applause. Rhea stood at attention, uncomfortable with the praise. After the ceremony, people lined up to say goodbye. Ortega flew in from D.C. You're really leaving? Time to scale globally. Always thinking bigger, he smiled. The program wouldn't exist without you. It would, just differently. There you go, not taking credit again. Old habits. Kovich was next. I was wrong about you. When you first arrived as a recruit, I thought you were going to wash out in week 1. Shows what I know. You weren't wrong. You just didn't have complete information. That's a generous interpretation. She extended her hand. Thank you for everything, for showing us a better way. They shook. One by one, former students came through. Sullivan, now a company commander, brought his entire leadership team. We wouldn't be here without you. Jefferson, promoted twice, working at CENTCOM headquarters. Still terrifying, still inspiring. Morris, teaching at West Point. Your frameworks are in the curriculum now. You changed doctrine. Chen, Special Forces qualified despite his size. Proved them all wrong, just like you taught me. Hale, Battalion Operations Officer. I tell every new platoon leader the same thing. Bend, don't break. Lead through service, not dominance. Mission first, people second, ego never. Davies running leadership development for an entire brigade. You gave me permission to be myself. I'm paying that forward every single day. And hundreds of others. People she'd taught directly. People they'd taught. The multiplication effect of cultural transformation. When the line finally ended, Rhea walked to her car. Her office was empty now, the photos and letters packed in boxes being shipped to her new posting. But the impact remained, in the people she'd changed, in the culture she'd helped build, in the system she'd transformed. She drove through the Iron Ridge gates one last time. The guard saluted. She returned it. And then she was gone. Heading toward the next mission, the next challenge, the next opportunity to create space for others to grow. Because that's what leaders did. Not seek power, not demand recognition, not prove superiority, but create conditions for others to succeed. Build cultures where people could transform. Make the world better by making people better. One person at a time, one decision at a time, one moment of choosing service over ego. That was the real power, the quiet kind, the kind that didn't announce itself, the kind that just was. Years later, in a small coffee shop in Brussels, Ria sat across from a NATO training commander. They were discussing implementing her leadership development framework across Allied forces. Her phone buzzed. A text message. From an unknown number. Instructor Calder, you probably don't remember me. I was in your 3rd cohort, just made battalion commander. Using everything you taught, changing lives daily. Thank you. She smiled. Set the phone down, continued the meeting. Because the work was never finished, the mission never complete. There would always be more people to teach, more cultures to shift, more leaders to develop. And she would keep doing it, quietly, effectively, without needing applause. Because some strength stays silent until the moment it changes everything. And the most dangerous force is always the one you overlook, until it transforms the world you thought you knew. Never confuse quiet with weakness. The most powerful leaders don't announce themselves. They prove themselves through the people they elevate, the cultures they transform, and the legacy they leave in every life they touch.